those blinded by ambition, those consumed with vengeance. But here, they do not exist. Only winners and losers here. For here, the mighty.
What's going on YouTube? It's going to coming to you from Nostalgia Japan Pinku Style Podcast as always. Got my guy back here as always, Alan Newsome. He's one of the, outside of Lex, he's appeared the most in the podcast without a doubt and everything. So I try to, like, you know, we all get busy out there with our businesses respectively. And I want to have Alan on, like, you know, at least once a month to chop it up, talk about business, and also because he's very progressive, bring out the new products which we want to hit today and everything. So we'll get into that a little bit later, man. Alan, how's it been? How's it been going, man? And what's new, man?
First and foremost, just, man, being blessed. Family's good. Health is good. That's all that really matters.
Right.
Everything else secondary. But, man, just doing well, man. Trying to be the best person I can be. That's a full-time job within itself.
Yeah.
But, you know, but at the end of the day, man, I'm doing well. I appreciate that. How about yourself?
Good, man. Same thing. Like you say, we it's no secret. Like this is a public knowing, man. You know, like you're kind of like my. You're like one of my therapists, man. It's like, you know, we talk, you know, and we always keep it, you know, positive, man. But we do share the real, and we also
That's
the cool
right.
thing about our relationship, man, is like we use each other. I think myself more than you, like to counter, like to bounce, like, hey, man. How do you think how do you think my response was to this customer, or, you know, just
Right.
just a self check, because in our own mind, as you know, in everybody's own mind, and you know that's one thing is I try to stop doing is everybody feels like they're always right or they're always got the best solution for everything, but it's more so for your life, and that's why I think I got it personally. I got a good grip on, you know, I have solutions for my, you know, for what I'm doing, like not for, you know, what everybody else is doing. So that's always
Right.
great to have somebody like you to speak to and stuff like that, man.
Yeah, likewise. Yeah, it's been several occasions where I've leaned on you for make sure that my perception wasn't skewed and that
Yeah.
I was being reasonable. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's always a blessing to have that relationship, not only just balancing that check and balance, but also actually understanding the business model and the philosophy of what we do within our realm of working on performance motorsports. So
Yeah.
that's a bonus for sure, because you could have a friend that owns a restaurant and he may not understand how customers react to when you tell them, hey, I just did a compression test and your engine's no good, you need to rebuild it. You know,
Yeah.
that's a little bit different than a bad, you know, plate of spaghetti. So.
Yeah. It costs a lot more. It costs a lot more to buy the products, to
Right.
make it, and all that stuff, man. So it's definitely real, man, because, you know, even like, you know, it seemed like every time we talk, man, it's always like if we can, I mean, what we do by nature, man, we can literally just do a podcast on, like, you know, things that didn't go well, you know, and more likely it's because the customer just don't want to adhere to what we're putting down. And, you know, some guys just don't follow straight up and down. Some people just don't follow instruction, man. So it's not that, you know, and for the customers who happen to be watching, it's not that we're bad, because you guys are good. You're good. You already know that. It's the ones that are probably bad ones, they're probably watching us right now anyway. So they don't want nothing to do with us because
Right.
we done laid down the law, and it's like, oh man, I got to go do something else. And then, you know, I'm not blind to what's going on now. I got tipped off by a guy who I talked to, and I guess there's like a bunch of drama. I don't even want to bring it up or name names or whatever online regarding GTRs. The situation, you probably seen it or not. If you haven't, don't even want to get into it. But the guys out there know what I'm talking about. The GTR is a YouTuber shop and everything, and don't know him personally, but the results or what happened and the shit that would never happen at my shop and Alan's shop, because we run it a certain way. And the thing about it is, you know, the guys out there, again, you know what I'm talking about. If you know, if you don't, find out. But you would never have a situation at our shop like that, because we don't allow shit to run away like that. And it's the reason why, man. So when guys complain and bitch,
Most
it's like
definitely.
it is what it is, man. But yeah, man. Outside of that, man, it's just been getting, you know, starting the late season, get into the competition and everything. Unfortunately, you know, I had the suit out there at Okuibuki, however you say that thing, and the suit looked great, and the car engine ran great, but he had a pump blow up, and nobody out there had an RB 2025 pump. So I was, yeah, I'm not drifting
Well,
without power steering.
right, yeah, you know how that is, man. Like we talked about offline, it's just that when you come back, you put a car all back together. That's your same car, of course, but
Yeah,
it
new.
takes those
Yeah.
few rounds to figure out what the weak links are,
Right.
and then, like you said, because I know, following your post, you replaced the steering rack before the event,
Right.
and we already know
Yep.
when you got a strong ass steering rack, it's like bitch slapping everything else that's connected to it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a chain link effect. So it's just part of it, man. If you get
Yeah.
into this game, for you guys that are out there, if you get into this game to think that things are just gonna go your way all the time, you can be highly depressed. So
Nah.
what Donald goes through and what I go through at the track, we're guys of severe preparation, but you're still gonna bump into stuff. So
Yeah. And
at the end of the day, that's just part of it.
yeah, and what it is, man, too, is like, with the whole like coming back, because people keep saying, man, and I correct people when they say it, oh man, good to see you back, and I'm like, no, I never left, I just stopped posting.
Been at it, yeah.
Yeah, I never stopped.
Right,
and that's what the conundrum we in right now with the social media is like now, dude. If you they say back in the day,
post about it, it didn't happen.
Yeah, it's like back in the day.
Yeah, if that's the case, I ain't drove in 5 years.
Yeah. So it's like, with the whole thing of it, like, I think when Polaroids came out, they was like, well, if you didn't catch it on camera, it didn't happen. Then when TV came out, if you didn't catch it on film. So now it's even more so because everybody has in the studio, I got, between the phone and everything else, I got like roughly 8 cameras on multiple devices, between old iPads and everything here. Yeah,
we've surrounded ourselves by nothing but content. Whether it be at the bus stop or being in an arcade. I saw a cool post today actually, and it was showing like it was like 1990 now, and it was showing like the guy, he was sitting on the bench waiting on the bus reading his newspaper, was the 1990, and then the now was a kid, and the guy was in shape and he was like 80. Then you had a guy like was 40, he was completely out of shape with an iPad in his face.
Yeah.
Like, and then it had another clip. Basically the guy was like you're sitting at a restaurant and you're having a discussion, and then and whatnot in the 90s, and then now it's showing like everybody's got their head down and on the phone and not having a social interaction. So there's a good and bad of everything. Technology has always been that way, and there's usually more pros than cons, but at the same time, just going back to what you're saying, as far as like, you never stopped driving, you may be coming back to like pro level competition, but you've been driving the whole time, and I know that because half the time I hit you up, you're at the track. But the point I'm making is that it almost puts me in a mood. Like, this has always been my personality. If everybody's doing something and that's the trend, I don't want to do it. Like 100%. I feel like I'm being sucked into it, and that's why it's like, sometimes that's not a good mindset for a guy that owns businesses, but at the same time, it's like, that's why I'm just being more selective on what I post and the content that I'm pushing, and things of that nature, just because I want to have quality over quantity. I don't want to post every day for the sake of posting. 100%. I want to post when things are coming out,
100%.
Things are changing, different directions, that type of stuff.
Right. And that's actually, believe it or not, because I remember offline we were talking about the podcast progression and all that stuff like that from 1 to now. And what I was saying, like, basically for you guys who weren't privy to, Alan brought up that he said he went back and seen episode 1, and then now it's episode 151. And the thing, like the biggest thing is like, and it's kind of cool and it relates to life, is having like a solid foundation. At the last shop, every episode I had to bring out the lights, stand them up on the tripods, set up the camera, all this stuff. Every episode, those 30 episodes or something like that. But now I'm in this studio where everything is just literally one button on. Everything comes on. I literally check my system and I press record, and I don't have to set anything up. And as a result, the sound is controlled. It's just more. The environment feels better, and I'm not like I'm not. I don't feel like in my last shop I had like all this stuff there you seen in the background, and I felt like I was like it was a weird feeling, man. I mean, it looked cool in the background because the wheel rack was there and all that stuff like that, but yeah, man, it's one of those things that the foundation has to be set, and I think a lot of guys don't, and that's in all facets of everything. They don't have a solid foundation, And thus, man, their thought process is off. You know how it is, man. When you, and like I see right there, prime example behind you, clean shop, man. Like, I mean, I can see your floor. I can see the floor.
Right.
How many times you go into somebody's shop where that little green slither I can see right behind you will have fucking oil and tools and 10 millimeters and everything all over it. And it's like, how can you focus? Yeah. And then now we work alone, so we got to be safe because we walk backwards and trip over or something, and we're just sitting there till somebody discovers us. You know what I mean? You know, so yeah, man, it's I think that's why we get along well, man, because it's like we're like kind of two of the same, man, where we share. And honestly, people call it an echo chamber, but it's whatever, man. I mean, we're like-minded, and I can talk to you and be comfortable versus somebody else. So I talk to them, they got an angle or they want something, or, you know, this and this.
Right.
Man.
Pinku style PS01TS coilovers. These are the first coilovers available by Pinku style. These are for track and street. Coilovers are going to work for guys who are going to look to tackle the street. You're going to look to tackle the toll gate in a legal way. 32-way adjustable. You have dampening control. You have camera control. Optional for some cars. It's a very smooth process. If something happens, it will honor the 1-year warranty. Pinku style PS01TS. Ready to order right now. See you guys with the piece.
Yeah, that makes sense. It makes sense for sure. Yeah, I just, you know, when you're by yourself, like we both are, as far as your shop work and performance, that kind of stuff, you kind of really got to set yourself up for success. So when you see a mess, that's the mess you made. You know, there's no,
nobody else.
Not only nobody else, but nobody else to clean it up. So, at the end of the day, and I've seen all spectrum. I've seen guys that are just like, man, it looks like a museum. And I'm wondering, like, what are you getting done? And then I've seen ones that are just like, you know, you literally, it looks like a rat, you know, trail. But then they produce a lot of work. There's a lot of you already know better than I do. There's a lot of JDM shops out there.
I mean, there's a couple.
Yeah, it's crazy.
There's a couple of championship winning people I know that their workplace just looks like a disaster, but they're winning. You know what I mean? So it's like it's a balance, because you have that very ultra clean shop and then you're putting out mediocre stuff. But you know what I mean? It's like, for me, man, it's like, for me, I got shelves, and sometimes my shelves I'll be honest, man, my shelves, because I'll be working on something, and then especially during the pandemic, man, it's happened more than before because I got multiple jobs kind of open. Because when I get stuck on something, like, you know, we can't wait. We can't just, all right, we're closing to that park. I'm like, no, we got to move to the next. And unfortunately, I hate doing that, but it's been a thing. And so I got that, but I still is organized. But I can look and know I got like this mount kit right there sitting there. But then right next to that is a caliber kit, and sitting next to it is this kit, and then everything else. But my floor is always, I can walk everywhere. I'm not walking. I'm never stepping over anything. Yeah. And so I get that when guys come in, I don't let people roam my shop. So they normally, I mean, if I introduce them to something, they'll be right there in the front. There's no reason for them to walk back there. But from the looking outside the doors I mean, the floor is clear. There's no trash on the floor and stuff like that. So, and one thing on my car is there's not a single damn tool sitting anywhere on my car.
I'm a pet peeve about that, putting stuff on top of cars.
People see a lot of that. Yeah, but other than that, man,
because you think if you do that to your own car, you'll do it to theirs.
Yeah, and I see the Evo right there, right behind you, man. How's that been going?
It's good, man. It's good. I actually got I'm looking at it now. I've got a Evo 8 fully assembled block from the Mitsubishi.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm going to be upgrading the engine to an Evo 8 because the current engine, it's good, but the compression is starting to drop. I could refresh and everything, but I already had that Evo 8's full engine, so I'm going to pull it, swap that whole setup in there, and then take the one out and then have it as a backup. Yeah. And basically, they're the same engine with a little bit of head revisement. So that'll basically reset the clock on the whole car, and But it's been good, man. I can't complain.
Yeah, that's true.
Can't complain at all. I definitely want to do a paint job on it, freshen
it
up.
For no doubt, man. Then that's crazy. And of course, see the 7 right there. For you guys who know, like both those cars lived in my shop for a little bit. Then they're there. Then the truck's there, and it's like then my 33 is going over. So it's like slowly I'm like the girlfriend is slowly moving in, dude. So it's like
just call it a second hub, man.
Dude.
Like, and that's the cool thing about it. It's like we always say, the building those friendships creates opportunities for everybody.
Yeah, no doubt.
Like, and be able to come over and you already got your car ready, turnkey. How cool is that?
Yeah. It's very important, man. I think a lot of people, and what I lost my train of thought and I just remembered you was talking about the quality and stuff like that. Over quality over quantity, and like that's one of the things. Like for my YouTube, don't post every day. For me personally,
right.
For the podcast, I remember when I first came out, and that's why I got into the podcast thing. When the podcast first came out, I had like this thing where I was like, well, I have my own. You gotta set your own little goals. And I was like, well, within the first 100 episodes, I want to talk to people who kind of help me to where I am. And I did talk to a lot of those people, but I mixed people in there. And nothing. I mean, all my guests I'm appreciative of, but what happened was, I got to a point where I was trying to like most people, you build your base based off of like who you talk to a lot and everything, and
right.
And it's not, but I found myself trying to get people on that I didn't, it just didn't. You can tell when you had a guest on where there was nothing there. There was this, what I mean? I don't.
Flat.
It was flat. Yeah, I was like, I don't want to do that no more. So honestly, I'd rather honestly have somebody contact me to get on, because I'm not at the point where I got so many people contacting me where I'm like blocking them out. Because the people when you go after guys is like, honestly, depending on how they respond, I'll like, all right, this guy's engaged, we'll make it happen. Like I got a couple in the tomorrow. Actually, I'm talking to. I have Benson Sue and his wife Nadine Sue coming on, so they're OG.
Oh yeah, they're old school. Yeah,
OG.
I remember them.
Yeah, so
I don't know them personally, but I know them through Super Street.
Yeah,
back in the day.
So they got a pot, dude. Still Lady Mania, dude.
I watched a couple.
Yeah, dude. They got.
I watched the one. Did you watch the one with Alex Pfeiffer?
Oh yeah.
That's probably my favorite.
Yeah, because Alex is loose. Yeah. So.
I prefer that style. I like that.
Yeah, I what happened was I contacted him right before I went down to, because I had this great how it works, man. Again, positive people. I had Mito on the last podcast, and he mentioned Benson. I was like, yeah, of course I know Benson, man. First guy in the D1 driver search. Then his wife started drifting pretty, which was, everybody lusted after her and all the group, back in the day and everything.
Yeah, the whole group.
Yeah, the whole so
yeah. I mean, come on, she was like the first female that was in Super Street that was in a drift car in a racing suit.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. So I got talking to him, and then the thing about it, man, like he's from watching his podcast. Very mild-mannered guy. Of course, seen a podcast. So when I hit him up, he was like, straight up, he was like, yeah, man, I'll check you out and everything. And then immediately he was like, hey, man, like, we can definitely do it. And it was cool because, we're in a podcast, so I'll tell him, like, him and his wife were like, one of the first American influence. And then after that, it kind of unfolded everything, because I seen him win. I watched the DVD. I think it was Shock DVD or Grip or something like that. And I seen the thing there, and Suchi and all was coming over. So we were like, I mean, me and you were like about what 2.5, 3 years behind him, maybe. Like as far as like So as far as like, because I think he's a dash older than us, like a dash by a little bit. So he was about 2 or 3, maybe 4 years before us. So we're still like in that second gen, which is cool. You know what I mean?
Right.
But anyway, man, long story short, I'm going to have them on tomorrow. We're going to chop it up, him and his wife, because it was going to be just him. And I was like, I got to get Nadine in there too. So she was busy. So they're going to be on there tomorrow. There'll be a cool podcast. But what I was saying, getting into, again, kind of digressing because we're not rushing here, but yeah, man, it's just like, having like-minded people around you, man, will help you formulate ideas and push you certain directions. And I used to say I wasn't influenced by anybody, but everybody's influenced by someone. And then at a point you kind of develop your own style. And then now we are the influencers, and believe it or not, like, you don't, like, I'm not, yeah, there's people following us, and like, you know, oh shit, he got a business, he's a black guy, and he's doing his thing, and he's solo, he don't have 1,000 cronies around him, and then I'm doing the same thing on the other end, and I've just given up on, you know, in my position out, you know, with the base and everything, I was trying to get like a helper, and I got a pseudo helper. He's not at the shop, but I'm like, yeah, I'm alone, dude. I've attempted trying to work somebody in there, but it's just the pace, pace, and what I want to do, and it's like it's better for me to be alone. It's just, and the thing is, even if I had a helper, it's not like it's going to speed up jobs because I'm not going to have them like doing engine work and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So.
Right. Yeah, that would take a long trail to get to the point where you could trust them at that point. Yeah. And at that point, you already got 2 sons that are gonna be able to do all that.
Exactly, 100%, and that's what it is too. You know, you don't want to open up relationships. Then, like, you gotta. I mean, to be honest, if they started if they're started in the wrong way, man, you know, like our relationship was formed. Like, you contacted me, and then it grew. It was a mutual beneficial relationship on both sides, versus like most guys started and they act like they want to be mutual, then it becomes one-sided, and then we see that all the time, that falls away. And then it's like, I don't even want to open up the relationship and everything that I know is going to last like maybe a year, or if that, because you're going to get tired of not working hard, or me saying, hey man, what the fuck are you doing, and why is my shit on the floor, like this ain't working. I got 2 sons coming up, man, so I'm still labeled, and they'll. And I'm not saying they will be in the shop, but it's highly likely that they'll be. Yeah.
At least, even if they don't go that route, at least have the knowledge to be able to go that route. You know what I mean?
No doubt.
That's how I'm doing my kids. Maybe they won't ever have to build an engine, but they'll damn sure know how to build an engine. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
And understand you know, like Almori, my daughter, on Monday, she turns 4. And I could literally put the car up on the lift, and she'd be like, okay, Dad, yeah, the oil pan looks dry, the engine's good, transmission. Oh, what about these wheels? These tires look bad. You know, she literally, like, my wife walked in the shop last week, and she's like, what the fuck? Like, how does she know all this stuff? And the funny part about it is, I'm not like sitting here like, look, honey, that's a transmission. What she'll do is I'm under the car, and she'll come under. I'm like, honey, you know, it's not safe under here. Right, but, you know, at the end of the day, yeah, it's safe enough. But in my mind, like, if it falls on me, that's one thing. If it falls on her, that's a lot worse, in my opinion.
Yeah, that is wild. That is wild. Because we live under there, and then they come under there for 1 second. Like, hey man, get out of there, move.
Right, it already feels dangerous. That's right. Yep. We're the same on that. Yeah. And so what she'll do is she'll grab one of my screwdrivers out of my open box, and she'll be like, I want to work with you. So then I'm like, okay, come on. I was like, but don't touch anything outside of the car. Like, so then she'll point at the transmission and be like, what's that? And I'll be like, it's a transmission. And sure enough, over the last year, she's learned pretty much everything that I primarily touch on the car, underneath the car. So it's crazy at 3 years old how much she knows.
Yeah. So. Did she actually like randomly like, let me see the engine?
No, she don't do that. It's mostly like whatever I'm working on. Yeah. She say this a literal quote. I want to help you. Yeah. So then I got her a little plastic toolbox that didn't last until after 3. Now at 3, she's grabbing the real tool.
Yeah.
I was like, no, you can't touch that with that. And then I put her. So I got like a 7 AFE engine that I've got sitting on the side. I'm like, look, this your engine. You can tinker with it. And she'll try to put the way too big socket on the nut, but she gets the idea. She has the philosophy down right on what she's doing. Yeah. So it's just a matter of time before I'm like, I can dig a little deeper and explain. Cause like we were in the house, and she was like, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go outside. I gotta work on it. She's like, Dad, you gonna upgrade the turbo? And I was like, I asked my wife, I was like, what'd she say? Yeah. She's like, yeah, you're going to upgrade the turbo. I was like, no, I'm not going to upgrade a turbo, but I'm going to be outside. So she even understands like what that is and everything. It's pretty wild.
If you've been watching Pinku Style for a bunch on YouTube, you know I've been in Japan for about 16 years. One of the most challenging things when you come to a foreign country is getting control somehow on a local language. That way you can communicate effectively, make more money, do business, and all that stuff like that. When you go to a Japanese, speak to Japanese, you don't read the book. You speak to a person face to face. It's going to be Japan Language Factory, JLF. Run by Terumi Kai. I've been partnered with Terumi Kai for about now 2 months. If you want to go ahead and learn Japanese, definitely get over to JapanLanguageFactory.com. Check out the site, see what they got to offer. You'll get a free consultation when you sign up, and after that, you can kind of determine your program and things like that. If the programming course is 2 months, and what you're going to do is you're going to learn how to effectively communicate using the things that you like to do. For example, if you're into cars, they can talk about cars. If you're into bowling, they can talk about bowling and center your lessons around stuff that you're interested in versus trying to learn about, let's say, banking if you're not into banking. Right, so there's about 2,000 Japanese letters. There's over 500,000 Japanese words and phrases. And if you try to learn all of them at the same time, you're going to spin your wheels. And at the same time, you guys know out there are kids, when kids grow up, they speak Japanese. They don't go to school. They just speak Japanese naturally from where they hear. So it is possible for us out there to learn different phrases, learn Japanese properly, and apply yourselves in a fashion that you're actually going to learn Japanese the way you want to learn Japanese. So again, that's going to be JLF. Check them out. You're going to enter code Pinku Style JLF. That's, again, Pinku Style JLF when you sign up. And that will help out the podcast, and that will actually get you learning Japanese quicker. So again, check out JapanLanguageFactor.com. Terumi Kai. And you guys will be learning Japanese in no time. Peace. It's man, like I'm laughing because of the situation, and also, man, it's just cool, man, to because we talked before in the past, and of course people will see the past podcasts. It's not that, you know, I people ask me, man, how was my childhood and everything. I'm like, dude, and yeah, people like, you're doing a classified middle class, poor, blah blah blah. It's like, nah, dude, I never was homeless. I never was homeless like as a kid, growing up. We didn't. I mean, there was a few times. I mean, and it wasn't like for weeks and weeks where the lights were off a couple of times. But I never personally as a kid like went to bed like starving. I never. Again, we went to school. We had the bare essentials essentially, and that was it.
Yep.
There was no. I mean, they did Christmas the best they could. And this was coming from the projects in Baltimore, man. Like, you know, the not the high rise, but like the smaller, you know, the however, whatever you call them. But the yeah, man. So I didn't have everything I needed, but we had enough, man. And it's like, you know, and I don't want to. My mom watches sometimes. I'm not trying to talk down to her because I didn't have a Lamborghini when I was 3 and stuff like that.
Right.
Just,
she did her best she could.
I mean, dude, she did the best because she got us. Honestly, she got us out of the city. That was the best thing.
Right.
And it was a struggle for her. And I mean, now that I know, she moved us to the county, and I was like, and I knew early, I'm like, this is weird because this is grass, it's clean, it's quiet. And then on weekends, I would go to the city, and it's just loud and dirty and everything. So I got the best of both worlds, which helped me mold. And also what it helped me do is, a lot of people can't do this. I know you can do it because I've seen it. They can't change their vernacular. They can't change their demeanor by their environment, because you do. It's not saying you have to act like you're from the hood, but there's a certain way you got to carry yourself if you're in an urban environment. That if you carry yourself like you're from somewhere else, somebody will spot that and like, oh, dude, take this dude or do whatever. And it's the way you move.
They can take advantage of it.
So it's the way you move and everything. And some people can't do that, and that's actually a skill set to be able to adjust your demeanor and everything based on who you're talking to. And it's not that you should be, because you can't be the same I mean, you know how it is. You know what I'm saying? You can't,
right. Yeah. Certain situations calls for certain countermeasures.
Right. And that's the best. And when you can adjust there, you can see Kevin Hart is a prime example in a public light that you can tell when he's around a group of comedians, and then when he's doing an interview on Oprah or whatever. I don't follow him, but I would assume he's been on Oprah by now. And then if he's talking to Obama, whatever, you change or he's with The Rock, because, you know, The Rock is very PC and wants to have that clear image. So he don't joke about certain things around The Rock versus other people. But it's cool, man. But all that's, man, one thing I want to get into, because it's looking at me in my face right here, man. We've gotten 28 minutes into it, but whatever, it'll be on the thumbnail, man. But the one thing I wanted to definitely have you on for is to speak on some of the new stuff right here. So I'll bring it up in the cool little thing right there. And I got a bunch of stuff, man. So I just want to just run through some of the products you just launched this week, because 2 of them I'm looking at right now. I want is the Nico and the Manami is like perfect for me, man, already. So if you just talk on some of the products, man, and I'll just scroll through them with the pictures and everything, man.
Yeah, most definitely. So well, we'll go general to specific. What I wanted to do is offer something unique to just drifters. If you look at all the safety equipment out right now, all the racing gear, it's all really kind of a universal fit, one size fits all. Here, we built this for time attack, but yeah, sure, put it in your drift car.
Mm.
And I thought, in my opinion, it's like, to me, drifting is all motorsports is art, but drifting is to me one of the best forms of art when it comes to motorsports. So what I wanted to do, and my wife and I, is we wanted to create a product especially for drifters that was budget friendly. So we had 3 goals. Number 1, budget friendly. Number 2, very stylish. Number 3, safe. So all 3 of those coming in together is we launched the subsidy Furikai. And if you're not familiar with Japanese, Furikai is a drift terminology. Basically, it means your initiation and flick, not really a feint, but more so of a flick into an initiation aggressively. And that, to me, that name really resonated. We changed our own spelling on it to kind of play homage to the Fatal Fury look. Because if you've watched the earlier podcast, you've seen me do a couple different episodes in the arcade. And the reason being is because I collect my own arcade machines, fix them from scratch, basically buy them broken, fix them, and enjoy them. And actually, arcade was my first passion before cars, before I had a driver's license, before Gran Turismo, all that stuff. So I wanted to always intermesh those two. And I think the name, with it naturally being Fury Kai with an I instead of a Y, was a good play on the Fury Kai with a Y. Because when you think of Fury, you think of something aggressive. You think of very battleistic. So and I feel like drifting can be that way and still be an art. So the product you'll see, it'll be aggressive, it'll be stylish, it'll be bold, but it also is highlighting to me the root of drifting, that art form, that aggression, but also just like a unique approach to just being a drift product. So of course, if you love the seat and you want to put it in your time attack car, your street car, yeah, of course, that's not a problem. But I really gauge these products for drifting, everything from the seating position to the bolstering, to the way that the sliders adjust, all that stuff that I found over pretty much a decade of what drifters need for myself and working with other guys, So, and also just offering XL sizing and standard sizing. Yeah, that makes a big difference. So that's what we want to do. We keep it budget friendly. We don't want to overcharge for things. We want this product to get out there and people to enjoy it. But we want the right people to have it.
Right.
We want the people that understand the philosophy behind Fury Kai to buy our products.
Yeah.
We don't want everybody to buy it.
Yeah, and that's the best thing about it, man. Is the that's one thing a lot of people kind of get like that. That's what happened right now with the car stuff, and that's why for me it's like cool, because guys are asking like ultra top dollar for everything, and we got to know. I mean, there's processes and things, and also at the same time too. This is one thing we talked about too, man. Is people the people who do bad at business are the ones who like they feel bad about making money. It's like, nah, dude, we're not doing this for a hobby. Like, we're doing this to make money, to support our lives. I mean, essentially, like it's either we do that or we go work for somebody else, and we're just not built to work for other people. That's why we do our own thing.
That's it.
You know what I mean, so
that's it.
And that drive to not be in a position again is what keeps us going, man. Like, makes you get up at 4 a.m, makes you drive 12 and a half hours down, 12 hours back, and then drive another 8 hours down a couple of days later, and then about to do it again. And then it's either that you're gonna work either way. It's gonna be for yourself or somebody else.
That not to segment too far off, but I'm glad that you said that, because I was thinking the other day, I was like, man, because I noticed from previous conversations, you're the same time frame. When we got into motorsports, drifting, racing, all this interest, we got into it when it wasn't cool. When we got into it, when we're like, you do what? What the hell is drifting? like what the hell is time attack? what is a tug?
Yeah.
What is a tuje? You know what I mean? Tuje. No, it's a toge.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They would like have to explain it.
It's French.
And right, and like, and so now it's to the point where, oh, it's the cool thing to do. You know what I mean? It's the happening thing. It's trendy. You know what I mean? And okay, that's fine. That's great. That's going to bring more money to motorsports. I'm not complaining, but for gentlemen like yourself and I that got into it when we were the outsiders, the misfits, oh man, you ain't got nothing better to do. You can't afford American muscle or whatever. To me, it's just an interesting perspective, how things have changed. So I always want to stay true to what we do and true to what I believe in, and always continue to develop products, develop cars that stay back to the root of what I believe in, as far as style, safety, performance, all that good stuff. Because I feel like now people are building things for how much attention it gets, or how much, or doing
that, and also selecting. I mean, and this people like where you got like selecting shops based on clout, versus like,
that's a big one.
And that's what when I open with, like I say, the drama going around now, but again, everybody knows what they're talking about. If you've been on the thing, I've seen it, and it's like for that when I clicked on it, it's like 400 something comments. And it's like, again, I don't know the dude, but you can kind of see that that's not impossible to happen, because they're more worried about clout and attention than properly working with a customer, and they just trying to people they're going to go towards. So like, the shop is doing that type of stuff, and then the customer selecting that type. So they're basically it's a shop with clout. Then they're trying to get customers with clout, and they're trying to do this division. It was like, that's cool, dude. But like, the people who's going to keep your doors open are just normal Joes, the average guys that don't have a following. They don't have this, and this, man. So it's like, and I'm like, dude, you could do what you want to do. That's all good and cool. But at the same time, it's like, hey man, like, you got to come correct, and when you don't get that rollout of what they expect, that's another thing too. People are expecting because they got 30,000 followers that you're supposed to treat them differently. Nah, dude, it's gonna be the same process for you. As a result, I've had, I only got again, I'm not into naming names because I don't feel like I get which out of that, but I've had all types of people from the industry, FD, D1, shop own, like big, multimillionaire shop owners hit me up in my box because they know me. But they figured because they knew me that they jump over everybody else, or they skip the process, so they don't got to do it.
Some type of special treatment.
And then when I was like, nah, dude, fill out this PDF, they're like, but this me, dude. I'm like, nah, dude. That's the reason. That's actually more the reason why. Because how many stories have you heard where there was friendships that just went awry because somebody in that process got too friendly, or they just skipped protocol for a second? I mean, we could still be cool, but for this second, I need you to fill out this PDF. So that way I don't have to ask you 1,000 questions, and everything is there, and it's protocol, man. And honestly, I take it as disrespectful, man. To me, my business has revealed to me who really is in my corner. And
1,000%,
bro. When I go to the track this last week, I go to the track and I park up there with the noobs, and then I drive past all the vet drivers. Do that for one thing. I got a D1 Pro car up there with noob drivers, to show them, one, that I'm still one of you, and then two, it shows
you don't feel like you're any better than them.
Two, it shows the other guys on the other end that's where the vets park at. That I'm like, dude, I don't need to be in this clique, man. And unfortunately, my car had an issue that I fixed 6 hours later, which was a boost line. And then that's the video you seen with me driving around the day before. I couldn't hit boost; it would cut off. Gee whiz, I had what it was is I had the I essentially, I don't know why, probably working late, and I knew better. The Haltech, I just overshot the stock the map sensor on board, so I was going over by 2 psi, and it would shut off.
Okay.
So cool feature, it shuts everything off. Like, you get 22
Apex, you would have popped that.
Oh yeah, shit, that should let it. Yeah, it will let it run it all the way up. There's no like,
ride,
yeah,
like, damn, I'm boosting.
Yeah, and I've done it before. I've hit like 30 something psi, man, and it felt awesome. But I was like, nah, dude, we can't do that again. And that engine popped out a year later. But yeah, man, so cool thing about Haltech Link, all these new guys, man, they got engine protection. So you set those parameters, and I do that for customers, but I don't lock them. And I'm like, hey, man, this setup should only see 18. So if that guy MF turns that thing up to 24, 18, his party's over. And like, oh man, what my car cut off? Like, yeah, it cut off because that's where it's supposed to cut off at.
Right.
So I saved, like, it saved your ass. But yeah, I never experienced I never actually experienced the engine protection. It cuts everything off, and it actually times out. And there's like the system allows about 15 seconds, and you can start it back up. So it won't come back on. It just shuts everything off. Boom. Ignition, everything.
Wow.
Just 100%. So unfortunately, there was a lot of people there that night, and it would have been a good showing, and it didn't happen. But, you know, it was more so a setting error on my part because I thought I had a map sensor that I didn't have. Which is like a 3-bar, and I didn't have that on board. So yeah, whatever, you know, live and learn. But but for the event, it's like, you know, even that, man, it's like people like, oh man, all these people here. I'm like, dude, I don't care, dude. Like, they can go to my YouTube and see me drifting when they were in elementary school, like, whatever, dude. And then like the thing is, like, it didn't work, and then so what it did. The people who are already against me for whatever reason, because I'm successful, it's like they're like in their books, they're like, yeah, look, his car didn't work, and then this is what we're talking about. Like, okay, dude, but again, I can go and do what I want tomorrow, and you got to go clock in somewhere you don't want to be at. So I've already won, you know what I mean? So I don't understand I don't understand it, man. And friends, family, people who I used to be acquainted with, they see the progression and, like, you know, the coilover coming out and stuff like that, and even how I carried that situation where I was like, man, we were talking, but I was when I hit you up, actually, I was in a process of, for your coilover, I was in a process of being done with it because I was like, dude, I've talked to 4 different manufacturers already. And this was actually before, like, around the same time, and then I luckily found one right after I contacted you and everything, and it just went quickly, like from the talks to the we went back and forth a few times, and they agreed to certain things and I agreed to certain things, and it's very good. So, you know more than me, man. Having the manufacturers, everything.
Oh yeah, most definitely, man. And that's like what we talked about too, is at the end of the day, you spending all that time and effort and promotion and installation on another person's product that didn't really see the value as much to go ahead and cross promote that, right? So at the end of the day, you know, whatever that reason may be, maybe busy, may have other focuses, maybe changing channels on their you know, outlook, whatever the case. But the main thing is that you were able to find, you know, a leeway to say, you know what, now this makes sense. I can carry this product. I can get up to the specs that I want. Them to be designed at, and that's a common thing that you sell, so it just makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that's what any good business person is gonna do. You know, and it's always great to be able to carve out a niche, you know, for what your business is, because, you know, all the good businesses I know in the U.S. and then even abroad, like, they have a good niche. Like, my niche is racing equipment, right? One of my buddies' niche. He builds cars too, like high level, you know, stuff is fuel injectors. Right. So that's the guy I support for all my fuel injectors. You know, and then other guys have like ECU, you know, customization where they can flash brand new cars, like some of the high end stuff, without having to have the aftermarket, you know. And, you know, so it's always good to have your own niche.
Yeah. And then,
like you're doing with the hoses and then the coilovers and much more.
Right. And that too, like, I had a situation, and I'm gonna post about it. Now, I've done it before. It's like, dude, we're knowledgeable. We know like these stuff inside out, but it comes to a point where you're growing, which is great. If you're at the same, you know what I mean, somebody does it, he looks back and you got the same setup, it's like you're not progressing. And the customers watch that, but it was a situation where I had the Blue Z in. He brand new alternator, sent the alternator back and everything, and actually passed everything. He basically was losing voltage, and I knew, honestly, I knew what it was, but I was like, all right, let me run through the systems. I did the bulb relay check. I swapped that thing out. I checked the bulb for continuity, you know, behind the cluster, which, you know, people don't understand. The older cars, that's like a breakage, so they'll chase everything, and it's just a bulb that blew out, and it breaks the continuity. Older cars. I'm not sure if the newer cars do that, because that's actually a bad feature to do that like that. But so anyway, I checked the stuff. I replaced with the basic stuff. I did the stuff, and I was like, look, dude, I'm gonna charge you what I'm gonna charge you. I'm done here. This is because it's not it's body it's on the engine, and people confused. But yeah, the alternator's on the engine, but it's not connected to the ECU. You know what I mean? So it's part of the body
just
harness.
like a lot of the exactly, like
harness.
the A86 is your whole charging system, alternator, your trans wiring, your whole charge system is built off the chassis harness,
right.
and it like I design custom beams harnesses and sell them on my website on the togetechniques.com. And I had one guy recently hit me up, and he's like, hey, I've got everything hooked up, but something must be wrong with the harness. It's not running. I said, dude, send me pictures of what your setup is. He didn't even have an alternator on the car, dude. No alternator on the car. I was like, dude, the harness cannot have any circuitry, full circuitry of power without an alternator, bro.
Yeah. You're running off the battery power, which is like 10 volts. Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
And I was like, there's no way the harness is gonna work. It's a self-contained harness, man. It don't have enough power.
Yeah.
To run properly. So yeah.
What I was getting at on the Wishcon too was the Z. I was like, I'm like, dude, I'm gonna check these areas. And if he's a good customer, so I actually did do a little bit more. And I was like, all right, well, I'm done because now I'm a day over on where I have to be. So I'm gonna default to the as a electrical old guy that's been open as long as we've been alive, to be honest. And that's what he does. So I went there. I showed him the paper. I told him, I was like, I changed the bulb. He's like, yeah, okay. Like, I'll see you later. Like, he pretty much rushed me out. I was like, all right, cool. Because I know the thing is, I know he got it right. So I dropped it off there, and the next day he's like, all right, it's fixed. And I'm like, and it's like, it's not that I couldn't fix. It's like I didn't have the time. And honestly, I think a lot of shops don't know where to. And it's not that you've been defeated. It's like, dude, I got this engine to build. I got this to do. He don't build engines. He just does HVAC and body electrical, like windows, stuff like that, body stuff. And he don't do engine build. So I mean, if he comes in a coal, he can detect the misfire, but he will say, you need to take that to a shop because the misfires, that's you know what I mean, that's a whole different deal and everything. So yeah, he fixed it. I would have liked to know what it was, but he don't. He's old guys like this is how much it costs. The bulb comes on, it's charging. So and I understand that he's not gonna give away his secrets.
Yeah, at the end of the day, that's how he feed his family.
Right. And at the same time, like what we do, and I know we don't do it. It's a general, and I stopped that because when I first opened, I was kind of telling guys I did this, and this to fix it. I generalize it now, like, yeah, it was this system affecting this, but I'm not telling the guy bit for bit how I did it.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm the same way. I used to be like, I bored this over at 86.5, and I'm like, your head deck clearance is 0.1. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna build this how I do it. I'm gonna send you the pictures. I'm gonna give you the general synopsis with all pictures included. So that way, if you tamper with it, or anything that head comes off and you're trying to say it was under warranty still, blah, blah, blah. I know it's been messed with. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, less is more.
Yeah.
Less is more. We give it meat and potatoes.
Yeah. And then shit, man, because I remember when my first engine builds, dude, like I could look at the customer when I'm talking to him, like the person for the first like 15 minutes, he's like, yeah, cool. Then after about 20 minutes, he's like, all right, dude, can I go now? So like my first,
you glazed him over.
My very first ones, like my very first engine build, the thing was an hour. Like I remember it was like an hour, dude. I would just broke everything down, and still even after that though, he still had, it was like he like dismissed everything else. I'm like, because what happened, the situation that happened after he left, which I told him about 30 minutes in, by that point he was already checked out. And I was like, dude, I looked in your eye and said this was a problem before you took the car, which was his idler was. I'm like, we can either replace it for $500 or delete it. And he's oh man, and actually what I did, and also during that time I didn't do it because I already did my check ride myself, and I was like, all right, well it's already good. And honestly, that situation did lead to, after I do something like that, we go for a check ride. And except for the last time, the 34 guy, and I said I should have did it, but I didn't do it. But he was like, oh man, my wife had a car and it died in the middle of the street. And I'm like, dude, number one, calm the fuck down. And like, it's not that serious because
She didn't die in the street.
Well,
though.
she shouldn't have been driving your car anyway. She had a Subaru. Like, why was she pregnant in your Skyline that you just got back? And I'm like, that's not. So I'm like, you can kill that stuff right there. And I'm like, I told you what it was. I'm like, the idler was dead. And then, I fixed it. And he's like, oh, man, this is awesome. I'm like, yeah, I told you that, but you just didn't. You checked out. And that was more so because I was overloading him with data and I was getting technical deck heights, bore. And I was giving them all because I was like, man, I don't want to be like, just collect cash and leave. And then I had to find that medium. So generally I keep generally my final ones, because I'm sending them pictures in the process. I don't. It doesn't go above 30 minutes, man, like that, and 25 minutes, because I can break down everything there, and also because I'm feeding them pictures into a folder as I do the job. They're not seeing it all at once, and that's the way I do it.
Dissect it.
That's the way I do it.
Yep.
So, and then also the social I do. I post on there while I'm in builds, but not as much like you said before. And I was talking to a guy yesterday. It's I kind of did more videos this year because it's like, dude, I've already done this job 30 times. Even with the engine builds, I've already done a lot of them. It's like it's redundant, and it's like, all right, well, he's
right. Yeah, post the same
shit.
4AG build I've done 30 times. What's who cares, right?
Yeah. So
I'm with you.
I just dialed it down to like pretty much parts promotion, share your stuff. And then starting to actually put some of my stuff in there, because I had a thing about not posting my stuff, but then it was like, I'm my marketer, because like I told one guy, I'm like, dude, for as good as work as I do, I don't have a lot of customers out there putting it to work, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
they're not
proclaiming it.
Yeah, they're not using it versus top secret and Ariam Mia, all these guys, they got multiple guys at Tsukuba events running their stuff. So it's like, yeah, it's proven. So we got to prove our own shit for the most part.
Right.
Which is no problem.
That's true. That's a good point. Yeah. That's what we got into it anyway. We didn't get into it just to work on other people's stuff.
Yeah.
We got into it because we love driving.
Yeah, man. So, I mean, regarding your shop, man, because we were talking about it, man. Like, and what's your, like, obviously, like your 5-year outlook, far as like what do you look into, like what's your business goal, I guess I would say, like in the next 5 years. And I know that could change.
Just shop wise.
I mean,
right?
it's funny, man. Yeah, shop wise, because it's funny now. I actually just like about 3 years ago. Now we're at this year, so it's like it goes fast. It's August now. Yeah.
Yeah. No. I love that question, and honestly, my focus right now with the shop side is I want to expand within the next year in my same location, but add more concrete and add on to the building. And you say, well, the reason I want to do that is because I want to build a couple things. I want to build a designated paint booth. One of the reasons I want to do the paint booth is because I have way too many cars, right? And I want to be able to control all that in-house. I have the ability to paint already. I grew up doing a lot of painting with a friend of mine that lived down the road. He was my best friend at the time. And his dad, that's what his dad did. He was a professional painter. So we were always in the paint booth messing with his stuff, that type of stuff. So I want to build my paint booth where I can paint my own cars, touch up stuff, not for customers, just for my own selfish deeds. Right. But the reason why that is a financially good situation is because I want to transgress into doing even less customer cars and just picking up a body, putting a fresh engine in it, cleaning it up, painting it myself, and then putting it up for a premium price. So basically, I've sold hundreds of cars in my lifetime, and so at this point, and I enjoy selling a car more than I do turning a car back over to a customer and saying, hey, I've rebuilt your rotary, you're good to go. But he didn't want to spend the money to redo the rear end, and his clutch is not great. And I said, look, dude, we got to at least resurface your flywheel, make sure this thing's grabbing good, that type of stuff I don't have to deal with. And I'm very selective with my shop work anyway. But I'd rather get to the point where I'm making really nice, clean cars, and if they sell, great. If they don't sell, they're actually just going up in value, right?
100%.
They're going to be built right, they're going to look good, and to the point they do sell, they'll sell for more than when I posted it, right?
Yeah.
So I want to transgress with that, and then the others that's going to be on the back side of the shop
Okay.
here, and then on the front side where I'm facing, I want to add on basically another about 12 foot by 50 foot, and I want to split it in half, completely insulated. I want to do like a nice office setup where I've got my computer desk in there. I've got minimum amount of showroom stuff, but it's all going to be just shop based, you know. So if you go in there, you can see an example of the wiring harness I build. You can see an example of a 13B Rude with a turbo on it right on the engine stand, you know, that type of stuff. And then on the back half of the shop would be an engine building climate control room where, you know, basically I have full ventilation set up, building engines in there, dust proof, you know, air controlled, all that stuff. So to me, that'd be a benefit for my shop because I've got an actual air control room. I think I've showed it to you when you were here, but it's actually in the base. It's in the basement of my house. Instead, so like the rotaries, that's where I build most of my rotaries because the rotaries are easy to carry. But like if I want to do a 2J, that's a task in there. So I usually just seal the shop off, shut down all the doors, keep things covered after I'm building. And I usually build in the back corner. I've actually got 3 2Js back there right now.
Yeah.
Beside those bikes. And so that's what I do for now. I'm always control the climate and all that stuff, the dust, all that. But I want to do it to the point where if I say, you know what, I got to go to the store, I can leave that freaking, you know, block open with the pistons already in it and the rings, you know, set without having to do all that. And to me, that's just being meticulous, but that's just kind of how I am.
Yeah. No, it's 100%, man. That's the biggest thing with the, you know, a lot of guys, they come to see the stainless steel tables and the stuff sitting on there. And like I say, when I'm not using it because I do have open shop, like I cover everything. Like if it's not, it should be never unsealed. Even like one thing I don't do, like for the customers, I don't open. Like I'll check them myself, but like I don't want to open it, keep reopening that box and hand you the pistons and put your finger and like you don't need to touch them.
No,
their job is inside.
Just know they do what they do.
They do exactly. So you know, what I mean, I do one thing I do, man, because I have had a couple experiences where I got a big list of stuff, and then I go to work on it, and then this doesn't fit. And so one thing I do check is make sure it's for sure. With the pistons, I make sure it's 86.5 and the wrist pins slide through. Yeah. Other than that, it's all good. Because I had a situation, the CP fixed it where the wrist pin area was actually they didn't it wasn't machined out. So I'm
didn't have enough clearance.
3 o'clock in the morning, I'm like, you know, rolling through it, and I go to put the piston. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Like
right, because they should slide with no resistance, but not have any play.
So that led into 2 weeks of 2 weeks goddamn, you know, waiting time, you know what I mean, to get the stuff over here because they were, you know, it was, so they sent it and everything and covered it, so it was good to go. But yeah, man, engine building is like, you know, you see people, you know, they're proud about being a sloppy mechanic, which that group was on Facebook, which I'm on there because this is hilarious.
I know it. I know
it's
it.
like, yeah, dude, it's like there's getting it done, but it's like, goddamn, dude, like don't do it on the ground, man. Like, god damn, man. Like, it's
right, this motherfucker doing it in a sandbox.
Yeah, it's like you just you just rub nah. You just take the sand and rub it in the cylinder. It's like, all right, the home's good. But nah, man. We've been like, you know, that's one thing I don't. I'll let guys know and I keep it personable. I was like, yeah, man. You know, I've been doing this for a long time, man, and it was pretty much all mistakes that I've made was with my own stuff back in the day by putting a blown clutch on, not resurfacing, having a flywheel with cracks in it, like multiple things, man, where, you know, if I just would have waited a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I wouldn't have been repeating that process over and over. And that's where I'm at now, where it's like, if I don't have it and ain't the proper part, it ain't happening, dude, because I know what's going to happen, you know what I mean? And it's just a waste of time and money with fuel and all that. I mean, shit, 12 hours, they can say down at that event, everything was good, and it just happened at the event, and it was like, damn, dude, it was like, but at the same time, it's like that's racing, dude. Yeah, I mean that's you're gonna fly across the world, but you want to minimize that, and that's why I didn't. If I would have had a day of testing tuning, that would have happened during testing, but I didn't have that, and I had to push, and well, I didn't have to, but I wanted to, and it just wasn't my day, man. So whatever.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, man, I've helped teams and worked with teams in Formula Drift since 2015, man. And I've seen guys that had like team of 8 people, spare engines, spare every single part, spare, and they could literally blow 2 turbos back to back, and then they can't find another one, then they fix that, then they've got transmission issues, and they don't even get to qualify. So at the end of the day, that's part of it, man. It's like you always said, if they can blow an F1 engine, qualifying her on the track.
That's what I told my guy. I told my guy there. He was kind of, because he like I got the video, which I got to chop up. I actually somewhat documented the whole process. Even did I share with you that 3 of the bolts like backed out on the clutch and
No.
So yeah, dude, like I thought it was the input shaft, bro. I'm glad I took, because I was going to run. I was so pressed for time. I was about to run it and just like deal with it for after. If I would have did that, dude, I pretty much I'll probably have a leg gone right now, because the 3 of the bolts, and this is Nissan OEM, and this is why, and I knew better than this, and this is why you never assume that like when you get an ARP stud that it's all right. You measure, and that's what I do for the engines. I measure to make sure the length is there, the diameter, because these are humans packing these fucking boxes, not machines. They could easily take a 2J bolt and put it with RB26, even though their size is different, so it would never fit in there. But yeah, and essentially 3 of the bolts, fresh Nissan bolts, had a like a shank on the tip of it, and it was like you've seen an imperfect bolt before, or a nut that was not machined. Yeah, so it was 3 out of that batch, 3 of those bolts. So when I torqued them down, it was a false torque, so that shank was bottomed out in the crank. So it had that little microscopic spacing, and that shit worked out. Yeah, dude. Yeah. So that made all the other bolts loose, and then all the bolts were like, they were stripped in there, dude. Like, the flywheel was moving around. Yeah, dude. So I was luckily there was all circles, so I was able to tap each hole. Like, I never done, dude. I was like, tap and die a crank, like that's some next level shit, man. And I'm talking about, I was doing one. It took about 2 hours. I was doing one turn and then going back, 1 turn half, going back.
Oh yeah, bro. You gotta finesse it.
And then that if you snap that tungsten and the crank is like, you're fucked. Like, you're done. You're done. So yeah, dude, I was.
You might as well go ahead and pull that crank and throw it in the trash.
That's what I was like. I'm like, damn, I was like, dude, I was pretty much set to have to take an engine out that I just put in, find a good crank, which like that's what I mean, that crank could be good with those bearings, not with the new bearings. And I was like, I don't want to do this.
That's right, because they're gonna have a slight tolerance of wear between the two,
100%.
Even though they may be spec the standard.
100%. So I was like, man, I'm about to. I told my wife, like, I'm because at that point I was about to cancel there. I didn't even put the Earl wasn't on. I didn't paint. I didn't have tires. This was like, pretty much, I had 3 days to get everything. I had pretty much 3 days to do about 2 weeks worth of work. And so then, didn't sleep. We didn't leave Massawa until 7 that morning, missed practice. And then, so I'm like, damn, man, I thought I'd be in a better place now, but it's like, shit happens, man. And but now the cool thing is the car's together now. It's behind me and it's all
right. And the next one you'll be you'll be even more
not doing
prepared,
it,
ready to go.
Yeah. So I might.
Yeah, and look at it this way too. You're like, hell, it wasn't too long ago that you were driving your comp car to comp.
Yeah.
So let's look at that. So the progression is beautiful.
Yeah.
And like you said, round 2, for whatever that may be, whatever decision is, that's gonna be your round 2, right?
Yeah. So it's cool.
Set up for success.
So I got Nico. Nico's up next. Sign up for Nico.
Okay.
D1,
one of my favorite tracks, man. I want to definitely drive that one.
Yeah. So I signed up for that. This one. So right now I'm battling the. So I'm working on. It's not secret. I posted up. I'm working on the electronic steering rack with the company in the States, because I just don't. It's technology, and it's I've seen it work really good, and that'll be one less flammable fluid I'll have rocking around in the engine bay. So I talked to them, and the thing is, man, man, it's the response to the company, the professionalism, like right away, and then also like them already before I even asked, like, hey man, we don't have nothing in Japan. We'd like to work with you. Like, it was just a very good, and the quality is great. The quality is just like how you post your stuff, man. So we've been talking back and forth, and very clear. Like, I need this, and this from you. and this is what you're going to be getting in return. So like a company like us, man, because we do it so much that when we work with another company that's just, let's say, oh man, this is refreshing, versus a company when you mail them a decent amount of information, it's like, yeah, okay, that's the response to the email. It's like, yeah, actually, we're not doing business. Like if I could get
right, or they don't even read it, and they ask redundant questions that was already stated.
Yeah, I'm like, all right, yeah, this is so it's weird, you know. People they think like we're business, but we're consumers as well. You know what I mean?
That's right. Yeah, if anything, we consume more than they do,
exactly.
just because they're doing it recreational consuming. We're doing professional consumption.
Yeah.
But yeah, keep me posted on how all the electric power steering pump works for you, because I've got to do with that 190E I'm building with the Ford 2.3 liter. Yeah. The EcoBoost engines, they have electric power steering from the factory on the Mustangs, but the old 190E obviously is hydraulic driven. So I'm gonna but I can't convert the Mustang over to this car because of the way the adapters are set up. So I'm gonna have to run an aftermarket electronic controller on there.
So this one
for the power steering.
This one in a nutshell is it's actually in line. It's in line with the So I gotta send. So they could. Fortunately, they have to have the host car there to do the mock up and everything. So it's essentially I send them the whole shaft and the and also a rack. So you can use your hydro rack and empty it out, but I rather, number one, they got the coating, they can do lasering. It's just free built, so it's a whole system. So I'm doing a rack and the steering rack and the column. So you gotta send them the column.
Yeah, that's what you know is congruent.
Right, you gotta send them the column. They're gonna do the thing and put grease in it, pack it, do all the stuff they gotta do, put the seal in it, and then make that a manual rack. You know all about that stuff with the Hachirokus. And then that's what I'm gonna do. So I'll have maybe 1 or 2 more events with hydro, and I'm taking like 3 pumps this time. I got about a couple more events with hydro, and then that'll be it. And people are like, oh well, it works for you. I'm like, yeah, dude, but this that was what it was because they didn't have the technology. Now when you drive S2000, it's electric and it's a different feeling and everything, and it works pretty well, and it's have fluid there. So I'll be looking forward to going towards that and working on that, and also being a pioneer for the here, because again, I'll be the only one, and I'm not whatever. I'll be not like I have to be the one of one, but I'll be the only one in Japan doing that, and that's another advantage that I'll have over somebody who's losing a pump or having constant issues. So of course there'll be R&D, and that's what I do like too. They didn't sell it as like this is like they was like, hey, we're still gathering data, and the more we can gather from rally, from drifting, I'm like, yeah, well I happen to do all of those. So I was like time attack, everything. So they're more in time attack, so they actually haven't done a drifter yet. So I mean, I'll be able to really put it to the test because I'm going left and right.
You're using the rack more than any other motorsport other than rally.
Right, so they're looking forward to it, and we'll see how it goes. But again, the things have started great because again, just from their data they got out there, it looks great. You can tell the engineering is there, and the support is there and stuff like that. So that's what's coming up for me on S13, and then I'll migrate from there. Then also there's opportunities to for stuff they don't have, like an R&D for them guys, and get that going, man. So again, man, it's mutually beneficial. They get their product out there, I get to sell stuff, and then like that, people I want to do this, then I get the job for installing and doing alignment and all that stuff that comes with changing out a rack and column. So that's a common issue anyway. And at the end of the day, being in on the ground floor and helping them develop that's gonna, like you said, carve out another niche for your business there. But let me ask you this: what about you, man? What's your five-year examination of where you see you're taking the business? So one is just like almost yours, man. Where the because we talk about it naturally, so this is kind of the public getting our thoughts and everything. Getting away from I've already started actually because I'm doing a brake job right now, so it's kind of like hypocritical, but I'm doing a brake job in conjunction with some other stuff. But like doing brakes, doing oil, I don't do that, and I know you don't do that. You don't just schedule guys for oil change unless we're talking about full system. Full system oil change is a different thing, but oil change is like, nah, dude. you're a man. Get under the car and take that fucking 14mm bolt out and drain that shit. You know, it's like I'm not gonna even have you wait 2 months for that, because that's, you know, so stuff like that, man. Not doing small jobs, to be honestly, it has to be. And people will look at it, well, you got it. No, I don't have to do anything. I'm only looking towards bigger, lucrative jobs, because those are the jobs that are gonna make like the difference. And at a point, it has to be a certain amount that's very, very good, because like you said, I can take a car, suspension, engine overhaul, because all these cars out there need it, man. All these cars out there, unless
they all need it. Yeah, all the cars we mess with,
and that's a good thing for us, because they all need it. So that's why we stay in business, because they all are aged. But it's like, if you offer a car just straight up, hey man, new brakes, new calipers, new rotors, fresh engine build, you sell it for 35, 40K, somebody will buy that, because they're buying a A90 or an A8, not A90, but a JZ80 Supra with everything done to it. Is like, bro,
right? And that's what they want. Yeah, the guy that can afford a Supra, he's gonna spend a little, even significantly more to say, hey, my engine's fresh, all the wheel bearings are good, the brakes are good, the transmissions went through, the rear end's good, versus buying one, let's just say 10 grand less, and now he's got to go and do all that thing, all those over again, and spend another 20 grand.
100%, man.
Those guys with that budget, they'll rather just spend a little bit more.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And then also based on it, and people say, well, you know, guys watching, listen, like, well, what about like, you know, this thing, like, dude, our quality is cool thing about what we do, man, is like, you can see examples of our quality now. Like, I will tell guys too, I'm like, hey, if you're buying this to race, like, you're dealing with race issues. Like, don't care what you spend on it. Look at Ryan Littrell, man. Like, he's programs coming along. He spends a lot of money, but shit breaks, dude. Like, you know, stuff breaks. Some teams are more secretive. They won't tell you. They'll just do an engine swap.
Right. They hush it up.
Hush it up. But like,
I've been to the track with at Grit Life. Yeah, with time attack cars, $200,000-$300,000 cars. They go and blow an engine. They'll slot that bitch under the canopy, throw a cover on it, cover it up. They don't want you even know they popped the engine.
Yeah. Oh no, the power string went out.
So
yeah.
Oh no, we're just cooling everything down. You know, we think it's gonna rain today.
Yeah, it's that thing where, yeah, man, it's like what we by default. When you see the, you know, I'll get into finishing after this, but when you see like the work, man, it's like people. I started actually showing like when I would show guys coming back from warranty, because I want to show guys, like, because you put the facade of perfect, even with people out there in the media and stuff like that, and as soon as it comes out that like the whole Will and Jada shit, and people, it wasn't, people were they're miserable, and they want to know that other people, even with money, have the same shitty situations that a normal Joe can have, that normal Joes out there have. Is so they run with it. It's like, dude, he for a long time did put out the perfect facade, and then as soon as you get a chink in the armor, they start swarming and attacking. So I showed, hey man, a car came back because the seal leaked, or a car came back and it didn't settle. It happens, man. The seal doesn't. If maybe a piece of that rubber folds over the wrong way, and everything else, you've seen it before.
Yeah, we've seen that do with many seals.
It happens. So it's like, that's why I offer the warranty. I can fix it. It's no problem.
Yeah, and to me that makes you look even better in my eyes, because it's like, okay, he stands behind his work. Anybody can, you know, slap something together, but if you actually stand behind your work, you honor your warranty, your craftsmanship. That's what it's about. I mean, I've done that several times. Even with Bridge Moto, is like, they'll be like, oh well, you know, this wheel, like the stitching, you know, it's at the marker's at a slight angle. I'm like, dude, these wheels are hand stitched, bro. Like, of course they're not going to be computerized like perfect geometry, but that's the character of the wheel. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, if that I've had, like, out of the hundreds and hundreds of wheels we sold, I had one guy that was a problem. It's like, hey, no problem, man. If that irritates you, that's not something that you're comfortable with.
Let me ask you, was this like a Cars and Coffee guy or a racer?
You already know the answer to that, man. Let's just put it this way. I've never seen this guy at the track in my life.
Yeah.
I've never seen him at any track in my life. And I travel all over the U.S. So, yeah, man. So it's one of those, oh, well, it didn't quite, the shade of this purple wasn't exactly the shade of my car's seat purple that I ordered from X, Y, and Z. I'm like, dude, I didn't guarantee you that this purple was that purple.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I'm like,
Yeah.
just send it back. Just send it back. We're happy to take care of you, refund you. I can send you pictures of other options that we have in stock, or I can refund you. It's like, at the end of the day, my philosophy is it's better to make someone happy within reason that's not trying to rip you off, than it is to, armor up and try to dispute someone, because the customer always going to think they're right. I'm not going to say that they're right always, but at the end of the day, I'm going to try to do the best to make you happy within reason,
Right.
so that way you can say they took care of me. The worst case you can say is they took care of me. It's not what I wanted.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
And we don't have those issues. So one out of 1,000, I'm fine with, doing that if you're that finicky.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of had, like, even yesterday, man, I kind of had a situation where, and it again, I should have just told the guy straight no, but I was like, all right, I got a bunch of RB stuff. Dude had a crank pulley or something like that he needed, and I was like, I got some here, but I got to check, and I had one on my RB20, and what happened was the you can change. People don't. All the cranks can fit on each one of them, but they're a little bit different.
It's just the timing.
Yeah. What the timing marks, the belt width and everything. For example, the RB26 is different than the 25. So when I do, for example, my swaps,
right,
I put the 25 pulley onto there because you got to match the power steering thing, which is something I don't have to worry about now. Alternator is all the same, which is cool. Fan belt's all the same, but the AC and all that stuff changes. So anyway, the guy, I told him to send the cash, and actually it was my fault because I seen a PayPal thing, so I figured he'd send the cash, but it was for somebody else. So I was like, send the cash, and then I'll remove the crank and I'll put it in a place where you can pick it up. And then the dude never sent the money. Come to my shop to pick it up, and I was waiting. And then he sends me pictures. He opens up the package, and he's like, "Oh, this is to whatever." I'm like, "All right, well, return it." So he never sent the money. I'd already took the 20 minutes to remove it and package it up and sit it there. I'm like, dude, so like honestly, over that one situation, I spammed the dude. I'm like, you know what? I don't normally do this because you guys never, like, these local dudes never, like, they'll hit you up for some random shit, and they figure because you don't have that part, like your business is a failure. So the dude, then he stopped responding after I sent back. I was like, hey man, put the stuff back. He actually didn't take it, and he didn't send the money. He never sent the money. So I was like, well, there's nothing to refund. And I was like, and I just spammed. I'm like, I don't even want to, like, that. The way you handled that small situation, I don't even want to deal with you no more. So guess what?
Yeah, show me your character, because you're just like me. And correct me if I'm wrong, but like when I deal with something like that, it's like I've already kind of was flexible.
Yeah, exactly.
Usually my policy is if I'm not here, you're not even coming to my shop.
100%.
So like I'm be a little bit flexible. I'm gonna try to help you out. You know what? Let me work on my personality a little
100%,
bit, because and then they fucking prove us right.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm the same.
And I was
way,
like,
dude.
I was like
spam.
spam email. Don't even want to talk to you no more for anything else. Like, enjoy your time here in Masawa.
Right.
There's nothing there, and he'll probably try to mail me again, and that's it. I'm like, dude, it's all of all the parts I got laying around here. That one part, it was an RB20E. And like, dude, I haven't touched RB20E. I've been there 14 years. That's not a performance.
Right.
So I'm like, take that shit out and put an RB20 in, or at least
get you some balls.
Yeah, DET.
That's like having E is like having one nut.
Yeah.
You at least have two nuts.
Yeah, so it's like, yeah, man. So essentially, so that whole situation, which for like simple instruction, couldn't even follow that. I'm like, there's a reason why you guys don't come to me, because and then they'll take the chance, and then it'll say, well, I see, this is why I knew how it was like that. Like, you know nothing about me, dude. I got all these cars here, and like that one part. And what it was because I was kind of rushing. That RB20 already had RB25 crank on it, crank pulley. So, and I'm like, dude, I'm rushing to do some other stuff. I didn't even have to do that. I took it off, and I didn't see it had the extra the groove or whatever. So I was like, all right, whatever, dude. Just put it back, and so that situations like that again, man. Guys watching, listen local, which I don't think is any of you. Or if you're looking, is the reason why I treat your boys like that, because they're incompetent young boys, dude. They're not men. And when you talk to somebody, and then one thing, man, too, I hate I dislike very much, man, unprofessional like emails. Like when you send an email to me, like you're texting me, it's like I'm outside to do this.
Hey, just hey.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
I'm like,
what? I'm not writing.
And then I'll change the I'll change the title to a professional title, and just to show them this is how it's supposed to look. I don't even say it anymore. I just change it. This is how it's supposed to look when you email me, and then like, hey man, I'm gonna send the money now. This, and this. Or one guy, I got a mail extra when I get off here. I told him to send me a tracking number because he's having the part sent here. Hey man, I sent the money. Just let me know when it comes. Like what do you're out of bounds already, dude. I'm offering a service,
right?
And you're just talking to me like you're texting me like you're not getting it. So it's been 2 days already, and he hasn't mailed me. And I gave him. He's already paid for the service, but he didn't follow the rest of the directives, which they think is when the people come to me, like there's an option and choice. Like I think I told you offline about the dude who didn't want to drive his car like during the rain. Like he was like he was like, I would not bring my car if it's raining. I'm like, well, you won't get your shit worked on then. Save a nice life.
Right.
So I was like, dude, what do you like? Come on, dude. Like, nah.
Right. This dude's out here with freaking McLarens driving in the rain.
Yeah.
Slow down, dude.
Yeah. Like you got a GTR. It's like, cool, dude.
Right. you and 20,000 other people.
But yeah, man. To tangent right there. But to wrap up, like your question, man, is essentially, and it sucks for a lot of people, man. But I'm not gonna. It's big jobs only. Within how they want to do it, because a few of the jobs I've had to midway through, I'm like, I'm not doing it, because you just don't want to. Yeah. You don't want to. You're not adhering to what I'm not going to install parts from all over the world, because that's going to create it doesn't work that way. And you want to, and I tell the guy, I'm like I'm saying, like I'll suggest the parts that I've had great, which come with, of course, helping out vendors and naturally dealers. But at the same time, like it's like I'm not installing that hot boy shit because you seen LZ run it, or you seen Rice Miata run it, or this guy run it, or whatever, because they're not installing it.
Right.
They got a guy that's installing it and working through all that stuff. Like I know what's going to happen when I install that. So
right.
Without that, like I'll tell them, like I'll like say, hey, link me to what you're trying to buy, and I'll look through it and like, hey, that's not going to work out. And then they're like, oh, what? I'm like, sorry, dude, go somewhere else. So like
and I'm with you. And for a lot of you guys listening that do have shop bills, done by professionals such as Don or myself, or any shop, you also got to take in consideration that whatever the build is, usually that engine, if you're coming to us, we've done it before. Yeah. Like we went through and we found out that this particular turbo manifold setup doesn't work great if you have to keep your air pump, or if you've got a relocation on your power steering, or if you're running a large sway bar, this oil cooler won't fit in that location because of X, Y, and Z. So it's almost like going to a restaurant and ordering an intricate meal, and then saying, well, why don't you use the cabbage from over here and put these seasonings over here from Spain? Trust me, they've already figured out the recipe that works. Trust that recipe. If you don't trust that recipe, don't eat there.
Go to Taco Bell.
Go to Taco. Yeah, there you go. So at the end of the day, just trust in the shop and the builder. Just like you would trust in your tuner. You wouldn't go to a tuner and say, why don't you pull up this map first and adjust my ignition before you go ahead and check my my air and fuel ratio and all that. You wouldn't do that. So don't do that to us. Like, let us work our recipe, because we know it works. We know it doesn't work. We're also open to building new stuff. But at the end of the day, we've learned, what meshes together, what complements each other when it comes to building engines. Yeah. Yeah.
And to piggyback on that, man, the guys who are running business, because I've had business owners contact me and ask me, how do you, because they're having issues with people with boundaries. And I cut the way
you got to set them early.
So one thing I changed, I would straight up ignore, like, because I said on all my posts, don't download Pinku Style for business. So now when people DM me, it's like, it could be somebody who just didn't see it. So what I do is I just say, if you could email this to, and that right there is a weeding out, because they don't email, they're not serious. So I was like, hey, email me down at pinkustyle.com to start, and that's it. And I archive it and I never open back up again, because they'll just try to, but I got a quick question. Nah,
they'll carry it on.
It'll keep going. So yeah, man, it's like, yeah, man, I hit people up, and some people even tell, hey man, why you email me? I'm like, dude, because that's how it's supposed to be done. And this is all the business guys. Hey man, you could just message me, and I'm like, we talk a bunch, but at the same time, when it gets towards like the quoting and stuff, like it's the turbo joint, is like we'll all and also I don't, because I know you're on your game. I'm not hate when people like, hey man, I just messaged you. Like, yeah, I seen it. I'll get to you when I can. But like, it's like we already talking, so like I never be like, hey man, I'll just say, hey man, I'm going to message you because I like this product, and then that's it, and or say something about that, but keep it in the email. But we both utilize that, and it's like it's simple respect. And then some guys, they feel like they're above that, and this is in other industry guys. I'm like, nah, do you need to email me that? Email me that, and also I don't do this, I don't do that. So I've had good buddies in the last month, man, hit me up and they want to get a car, and I'm like, hey, well, I don't. What's the price on it? I'm like, dude, I don't go online and how much the GCAs cost today. Like, I don't do that. I don't do that, man. Believe it or not.
Yeah, that's not part of your daily operation.
It's not. That's a dealer. That's more like I told guys. They want like Alan is better for that at Top Car because that's what he actually does. He's checking like what an NSX is going for now. What are they doing? And he told guys, hey man, if you ain't got $60K, we ain't even talking. Like there's nothing to talk about because that's how much it costs now. So it's like we had to talk. I had to talk to him about that because he was kind of like, you want to appease everybody. I'm like, dude, honestly, ask these guys, man, how much money do they have right now before a loan? Because you're wasting your time, man.
Because they're gonna drag you on. They have you hunt down a car for a week.
Yeah.
Oh, I want a black RX-7, less than 100K miles. OEM, blah blah blah. Then you're like, okay, cool. It's $35,000, and you're like, well, I thought it would be about 18, 16. I got 16 to spend.
Yeah.
Like, dude, you just wasted my time.
I got $150 from a guy. Just he didn't want to. He wanted a FD, a Supra, and a 34, and I'm like, the 34s can't go yet, so you got to store that for 2 years. So I was like, well, I'll get you. So I got them both. I got a PDF. It says like you want stock. It's a check thing. You want stock Earl, aftermarket Earl. It's like so what I do is $150. You get 3 searches. And if you're serious, out of one of those searches, you will buy the car. It happens every time.
Yeah.
So number one, he paid me first. That's my rule. You got to pay me first up front. So that weeds out everybody almost. So this guy paid me. I sent him the results. So one Supra was like about 80K, but with the yen rate, he was going to be saving 20K. So I'm like, dude, this is the prime time. Like, this car is ain't getting cheaper. You want a twin turbo, Getrag, Supra. It's up there, man. And he never. And
you got to pay to play.
Yeah, so I sent them the results. He didn't respond. I was like, hey, here's your last car because you're not responding. The whole thing is done. I got the $150. Have a good life. So you don't respond. It's like you thought it was going to be. So that's what I'm saying. If I would have did that before the $150, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you would have done it for free.
And I've done it. And that's why, dude, yeah, man, it's look, man, we got, people, to be real, man, we got kids, we got families, we got our own aspirations, man. I don't let nobody waste my time, and I'm not apologetic about telling people like, hey man, you're wasting my fucking time, dude. Like, you're wasting my time, and you waste my time once, that's it. That's again, spam dude yesterday, spam. I'll block this number. I blocked this email, so the only way he'll see me is if he's serious. He'll come in person, and then I'll let him know why the fuck I blocked him. And then if he wants to continue after that, we can talk. Most of those guys, they won't even come, dude. So I'll see him on base in the fucking commissary, and they'll go the other way or whatever. I'm like, I'm not gonna fight you, dude, but at the same time, just know that there's nothing there. So it is what it is, man. But to finish out the question, because I went on a long time, man, it's like that's what it is. Going towards big builds only, big meaningful builds only, because honestly they yield more money, and because and the reason why that is because if I got 2 big builds in a row, I'll schedule some jobs if I have a latency or a break in time, but most times there's not going to be the way I order the parts. So I'm not going to have you on my books for 3 months to get your rotors changed. I'm just not going to do that, because you can do that.
Yeah.
You can do that one time a day for those 3 months at multiple shops around here. So it's just better to not have that relationship open, or you saying, hey man, he's slow. Don't even open up that opportunity for a customer to say he's slow, because like your car is with you. It's not at my shop. if your car's at my shop and then it's 3, 4, 5 months, and I can understand that, but it's not the case. I don't do that. So yeah, man, that, and then just going towards that way because it's more money, and also it sounds like we don't want customers. It's not that. It's just the end user. We don't have to deal with it, man. The car is $35K. This is everything on it. Here's the video.
Right.
Take it or leave it. You know what I mean? So it's like,
hey, yeah, man. At the end of the day, man, it's like it's just more peaceful sometimes just to turn a car, and that's like we both learned and established. It's all about filtering out the right relationship. It's not that every person is bad just because they don't align with our philosophy. It's just that we've got to filter out and make sure that they have the same values that we have when we're going to build their car, because if there's a misalignment, then the expectations are going to be off.
That is,
and
it's a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
it's a lot of stuff with the.
It is.
I mean, just yesterday I was like, it's like and this. I'm glad I didn't do it because this one it would be cheesy as fuck, man. I was in a shop yesterday and like, what I mean? It's shop is shop, man. I ain't got to explain it to you or any other business guy like what we got to contend with and deal with, and people. You see a smile on their face and they understand, dude, we got a lot of stuff to contend with, deadlines, personal deadlines, a lot of money floating around and stuff like that. And so I'm on a shop. I'm in a shop like and it's weird because like it's weird. It's like you got to think about so much, man. I was doing some emails and I got this little creeper seat and I'm sitting like I got my S13, my R33, I got the customer car on a rack. I got all these racks. I'm sitting like in the corner of the shop and I was on emails and like. For like, dude, literally 5 minutes, the phone was down. I'm just like thinking, dude. I'm just looking around, thinking, formulating things. I know you've done it multiple times because I know you reflect on things. And it's like a lot of people, and I don't do it a lot. And I need to just like take a moment to like time out everything, dude, and reflect on where you at right now and what you got to do and what you want to do. And like, it could be like some corny shit where I pull out the camera and go like this, like, deep thoughts, like, nobody need to fucking know that, man. I know what I'm doing.
No, yeah.
And it's like, and it is and you look around and it's like, fuck, man, I gotta get this done. I gotta get this car down the port. I gotta do this, and this, and like, it's like everything's piling up and the whole delays with everything. And it's like, you got to email this guy and say the part's still not in. And it's like, everything is messed up because what's going on in the world and we can't control that. Then it's like, dude, look, I'm in Japan. I'm sitting in my own shop. I got this 600 horsepower car next to me, another car on that rack. Like my logo's all over it. It's like, snap out of it, dude. Like it could be worse.
Right.
It could be worse, dude.
It could be a lot
worse, man. I could have no shop. I could be, somewhere in Uganda building a Audi engine in the sand or like whatever the video was. But it is what it is, man. And at the same time, man, tomorrow's going to happen with or without you, man. So I think a lot of people don't factor that in, and that's where, again, coming to your shop was a good reset. And then that's where I don't allow, like, dude, we're gonna make this happen, or you're gonna go somewhere else. But I'm not gonna allow a situation to give me a brain aneurysm. I'm just not gonna. It's not gonna happen, dude.
No, that's a good point, man. It's like, way I've been looking at it now is like, you got your zen, your shop is your zen,
100%.
Your place of peace, your dojo in a aspect, right? So everybody is welcome to respect your dojo and admire it, right? But you won't tolerate any ignorance in your dojo, right?
Nope.
And the same thing, and that's the same thing how I operate. I come at peace. I want to keep peace. So if you're not bringing peace, then we can't establish, we can't do anything together.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, man, like you said, I can look back 5 years ago. I didn't even have a lift. I was doing everything on the concrete.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, time goes fast. And, I remember when I first met you, you were just working on getting the brown shop. You still had the location. I think it was like a single garage.
Yeah.
I remember it. You had like a turbo on the wall. I have a pretty good photographic memory. Yeah, like a turbo on the wall or something like that. And you were working on getting that. And that's when you had got, because you had got like the sign, and you had did like a whole like opening post and all that.
Yeah.
And so like, man, look, like that's a really, really short amount of
That
time if
honestly
you look
is,
at
man.
it.
We done
It is,
the
and
amount
like,
of stuff we done together in that time frame, man. That's literally because it's for me, it's easy to because that's when I got my wife pregnant. So my shop is in line with my oldest son. So like his age is
Right.
my business. Like it's literally 6 years. He's 6 years old, and
Right.
so our relationship so it kind of happened quick, but whatever. We were older, and we both were like, I like you. I like you. Let's do
Yeah, you
this.
know what you
And
wanted.
yeah, so we were both my wife, we're the same age. I'm older than her by about 7 months. But yeah, man, it's like that. Yeah, if I look back, then that's what I'm saying. That's exactly 100% what you just said. I would like I say to paint the picture, man. It's kind of twilight time. One of my shutters is half open. The lights are off. There's no music or nothing in the background. I'm just doing emails, and I'm like, dude, is stress. Everybody, like people, like, well, I don't show stress outwardly, but everybody has stressors of this taking care
Everybody,
of your
yeah.
family. Like that's a stressor, man. To be able to provide and knowing that your wife is like kind of in the books and everything, and just being real, dude. Like people have this idea that that we're like, well, like we're better off than most, man, but we still got real problems, man, and that's real, and it's just making everything
right.
happen. It's not like we done something wrong, or if you, that's a different kind of problem where you've used somebody's engine, and we know shops have done it. That's a different kind of that we don't got that kind of stress.
Yeah, we don't have those dishonesty
So
stresses.
that's so to clear that up. There's no dishonesty stress, but it's a stress of wanting to make your business successful. The things you want, the goals, the 5 years we're talking about, guys, is everything we're doing right now is going to add up to that. The 6 years ago, when I spent that 5K, the last 5K I had in my bank, has put me right here, 5K, and that's multiple. I mean,
Yep.
I've made that multiple times over. And I'm still, and within the first 10 years is like really like you're still really still setting the foundation. But to be 6.5 years in, and be where I'm at right now, to have partners like yourself and Rahman and all those other guys, never would imagine 8 years ago I'd be like right here, dude. Never, man. So yeah, man, this reflecting. One thing I will recommend for the guys there listening and watching, because Alan kind of brought it up when he said, "You come in peace." Art of War by Sun Tzu. Definitely something to listen to or read it, man, because it tells you like the shit we going
Yeah,
through
I
right
read
now
that
is
book,
it's
yeah.
not new, man.
No, man, it all recycles.
It ain't new, man. It's how to deal with is knowing when to cut people off completely because there's nothing there, and also knowing when to keep certain people around for a little bit because they think they got the one up on you, and it's just like strategic planning and making people thinking you're weaker than you are. That's a very important thing that a lot of people need to exercise these days with social media. Don't need to put everything out there, man. So
That's
like we
right.
said with the time attack thing, what Alan said, like that's that tactic of them covering up their car and everything is they don't want to show like, oh fuck, we had we had a mishap, and you gotta be strategic with it because there's been shit I blown up that it didn't need to go online because I didn't want to deal with
Right.
oh, did you do this or did you do that or I know what had happened. I know why it didn't work,
Right.
and I learned,
Exactly.
so it's all
Yeah, man. I enjoy just having that life divide, man.
Yeah.
I don't live and die by the sword of social media,
Mm.
man. Like I would be, honestly, if I didn't have businesses, I would not even have
100%.
it.
I just said that.
1,000. Yeah.
I said that to a
I
dude.
would not even be on it, dude. Because guess what? Social media won't stop me from building an engine
Yeah.
or driving my car. It doesn't. Like at the end of the day, I do everything I do because I enjoy it, because I love it, not because anybody's other impression of it. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Right.
And like I said, why you on all those cars, whatever, and da da da. It's like I love different cars
Yeah.
because I don't want to be stuck on like I got a lot of friends that just are Mazda guys or Nissan guys or Toyota guys. To me, I love them all, and I also want to have the experience and the knowledge
Oh, dude.
of multiple chassis. So when a customer come up and be like, "Can you fix my Supra?" I'll be like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
Can you fix my RX-7? Yeah. Can you fix my 240Z? Yeah, no problem. And not only can I say yes, I can fix it. Let me show you mine. Let me show you my example.
Yeah.
Let me show you my taste.
100%.
And to me, that goes a long way. Theory versus experience is a big thing. I believe in that.
Yeah, so I mean, right there, just to be able to go from a 4G63 to a 6G72 to the 48G to like the 13B, right in that picture, be able to like you built them all, you know them all,
Right.
and then like and it's cool, man. Like it's kind of cool things where you go to car meet and you be like, yeah, I built that, I've done this. I'm weird as hell, dude. I'm like, when a GTR rolls by me on a toll road, it's like, in my mind, I can see the car in like a X-ray, and it's like the Tesla pump, this, and this, and nobody else thinks like that unless you're on that level,
right?
Unless you're like, it's like,
you can also you examine it. You're like, I can even see first person view. I know where the seat is. I know where the shifter
exactly.
is. I know what it sounds like with the doors, with the windows up, and the windows down.
Yeah, so it's like you know, like all right, two bolts on the engine, 2 bolts on this, 3 bolts to take that off, and that's like all that goes to my mind within seconds because I built the car. And it's a cool thing, man. That only yourself, myself, and a handful of the guys that know. But at the same time, if a Kia Sophia rolls by me, I know nothing about it because you know what I mean? That's not us.
It's not our flavor.
Yeah, and then yesterday Shinobu hit me up, and it was like, dude, I honestly, because I do got some stuff where we always need a surplus of cash to make stuff happen because honestly, the Bezos and all those guys, is cool for them. They have a lot of stuff that fail, and I probably watched thing on Bezos for as much success as they have a lot of failures too, like with money.
Oh yeah.
So like they start a program with this, and this. They put $1 billion into it, doesn't do well. All right, scrap it. And they have enough money to my bad, try new stuff and everything. And like, I mean, even with this, man, I mean, I launched it. I did a video. I haven't sold one set yet. You know what I'm saying? And it's like,
but it'll catch.
It'll catch it. But then,
because at the end of the day, it's experience, not theory.
Right. And you see like guys, see guys up there, and within the time I launched it, and it's nothing. Hey man, I'm not salty about it. But then I have like a guy go buy BC because this guy's running BC. I'm like, dude, cool, dude. You know what I mean? It's not like
I'm gonna give you a task.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you a small excerpt.
What's that?
Next time the guys say, "Oh, well, I'm gonna run with BC instead of your coilover," ask them what BC stands for.
Yeah.
I bet he don't know.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna drop the not gonna drop the dive because that's not my type of thing.
Right.
But ask him what BC stands for. I bet he don't know.
Yeah. It is what it is, man. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So at the end of the day, to me, like we do already. I'd rather support each other. Because we know what our philosophy is. We know that we're not going to push anything that we don't believe in. We're not going to sell you anything that we wouldn't use.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, like to me, I put my faith in those type of people that drive and build by experience. That's who I relate to.
Yeah, because even if, man, it's like it's weird how it works the whole system because somebody already told me to. And I was like, I really don't. I don't need you as a business advisor because honestly, you work at Kohl's, and I mean.
Oh unsolicited advice.
Like,
I love that.
There's nothing against it, but like, bro, you're not doing what I'm doing. So somebody else who's in the same career field that's making a lot more money, I'll even listen to what they got to say because they earned the right for me to listen to them and interject. But it's like he's still not me. I'm not you, and also
on that. Yeah, and on that tip, that person in that position is not going to be the ones who's going to suggest like the other guy.
They don't.
100%. He already understands how ignorant.
They don't, and that's what you're 100% right. They don't. They just they'll say like some other stuff that more around like maybe booking or something like that. And even though even still they most times they don't because it's like they can realize they know what it took anyway to get to where we at, and so we talk about other shit not related. There's always a dude that's not anywhere near us far as the business or whatever. That's, hey man, you think about selling snowballs or honey buns on the side or like for what,
right.
Dude? I'm a performance shop up in the hills when there's like one person, 1 for 1 foot traffic. No, I don't need a snowball machine. Like for what? Like I don't have that type of I'm not Pep Boys. I'm not AutoZone. But the yeah, man, it's like what I was saying. One guy was like, "Hey, man, you should straight up." What he told me was like, "Hey, man, you should send a box down to Daigo and pay him some money and let him, because if he has it in his hand, I'm like, well, he's not drifting on my shit. So why would I? And people do that. Hey man, support, like, here's a flyer to this or hold this up. Like, nah, dude, you can see right through it that.
Oh yeah, it's prominent. I would actually probably say more people do it than don't do it, and that's like, if you look at my business, like the Bridge Moto, it probably would be a lot further if I gave out free product I said, hey.
I killed that.
Yeah,
I killed that.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, I was gonna do. We talked on it, and I was like, I was gonna do the giveaway, and I was like, nah, I ain't giving away shit. Like, I just spent all this money developing and everything. It's actually the one set I just posted the other day for the S13, the S13 C33 A31. I was gonna do a giveaway. I was like, fuck that, dude. No, they're gonna pay for this.
Right. That's exactly, because if they down with it, then they'll buy it anyway. What I've learned is anybody that is willing to spend their hard-earned money for something will appreciate it. Anybody to get something for free, they're not going to appreciate it.
And I've done, and even I'm actually not going to do them anymore, to be honest. Because I had thought about it and it's a trend now where people are following guys simply because they do a lot of weekly giveaway or monthly giveaway. So essentially, you got followers that are following you to get something for free. And not knocking anybody who do it. There's cool times, like I did the little poster, but even with that, I did one of those things I ended up giving away, man. The fucking shipping was $80 to send a magazine and a poster, because the guy who won it was in UK. This motherfucker didn't even give me a goddamn post. Like, that was part of the stipulations. Didn't even do
didn't even share it. Like, hey, thank you, Pinku style, for my
didn't even share it.
Magazine.
And then one guy who shared it, and I was like, it can't be on the story because stories are not really, they're like temporary and everything, and then like didn't do it. I'm like, man, screw this shit, dude. One of the guys did do it, and it was cool, but I was like, man, this whole thing about the giveaway is like, man, you do it, and then one thing I had Mike on a post. I mean, he is, on a podcast, and like he gave away the engine, and the engine fell off the pallet, and he did a giveaway, and now the dude is coming at him like he owed him shit. Like, you literally, like,
he feel entitled for some
I'm like, dude, you literally just shared, or you did a raffle. It was a raffle, so I'm like, all right, cool. You did take money, but the raffle was $10. You got,
bro. I would have been like, send me that broke shit. I'll fix it.
I'm like, I don't want to, and I had one of the guys, hey man, just checking to see if you sent it yet. I'm like, dude, calm the fuck down, because if I send it next year, don't matter. I'm doing a free giveaway, so I was like, I don't like that.
I'm being nice to you.
Yeah, I was like, I don't like the, and it sucks. People watching, listening, hoping nah, dude, that's for sale.
No,
that's
I know
for
where
sale.
you're coming
that's
from,
for sale.
man. I know where you're coming from, because I'm old school in that sense, man. It's just like, rather than do a dog and pony show and have to give away free stuff and put my products in the hands of people that I may not share the same interest in for the sake of more sales, is, to me, I can't do it. To me, I feel like I'm selling out. You know what I mean? So I'd rather sell less products to the people that genuinely want that product because they like the style, whatever draws it to them. They like the style. They believe in our brand. It matches their livery, whatever the case. I'd rather just sell to those people than to get to a point where I'm doing things just for the sake of selling, and now I've got to build this up to the point where I've got 20 employees, and I've got, I'm going against my core values.
Right.
I'd rather have control of my substance, my product, my quality, and make a decent living. Of course, we're in this to make money too, but be at a point where it's a balance of life than it is to like go all out and sell all out just because, okay, I want to top this company or that company.
Yeah.
Y'all can have the number one spot. To me, in my mind, what I do is number one for me. It doesn't matter if it's number one for who's on social media
100%.
or whatever.
Because what you mentioned right there, that's a a lot of people don't take into account too, man. When honestly, when you because we were even there too, man. It was, if I got injured playing football, I couldn't go to work. I couldn't stand up and do my job, so I had to call somebody else in. So now, like, when you're dealing with 20 employees, now you're dealing with 20 different people's problems. even if they're all good workers,
Yep.
they got a kid. The kid busts his head open. Hey, I gotta go. So now you got to pull this guy on that. It's like we know what we will have to, and it's just like it's manageable without, because there's a lot of shops in Japan, man, that work and they're known, and they same thing. They're one shop dudes, and I think we kind of modeled after that. It's like if he can do it, I know I can do it, man. And we got the advantage of the social media when we need to use it, how we need to use it, and not being on there posting like. There's one thing I stopped myself from doing. And I see people doing it now, and it's kind of like now I see it, and I was like, now I know how that would come across. But when you keep saying the other shop or another shop or like this shop, it's like, bro, just do your thing, and the work's going to show. You ain't got to name nobody else. You ain't got to be like, well, like the other guys do it, or like the other. So it's just do your thing, and
you don't compare yourself to anybody. Just do
do your thing. And so it's like, it's just when you get into that zone, and when people realize you don't give a shit about what they're talking about, that's an extra insult to them. He's like, he's not even paying attention to me. You don't, like, dude, I'm in my zone, working on what I got to work on, what I got to control. And if I spend 10 minutes talking to you, that's 10 minutes I can be giving to my customer, emailing them on I sent that guy out the stuff for the turbo stuff this morning, versus like, nah, dude, spend that time. And I think a lot of people, they don't utilize their time properly. They don't know how to say no. Like, even with, some of the guys out there who I'm buddies with gaming, hey man, coming to dude, I ain't got time for that. I like Gran Turismo, I love it, but
that's not gonna pay.
They ain't paying my bills, dude. So I'm like,
that ain't gonna keep these shop lights
100%. So it's like, that's one they do, and I love it. I like it because I could tell they never had it. I get invited to a bunch of stuff. Hey man, no, dude, I'm good. I already got my shit scheduled. Hey man, on Sunday event, like I always got. I'm never like I'm never free.
You never got an empty schedule.
Yeah, never
bro.
free.
There's no free time.
Because even when we talk to you, like, yeah, I'm throttling back. That's still your time. That's still your time. And so a person that, and I'm rambling right now, man, a person that is always available or always has a free moment, that means they're not utilizing their day. They're not taking care of their family. They're not taking care of their business. They're not, if you're just aimlessly like have free time, like that's, what I mean? Yeah, that's not cool, man. That's not, to me personally, as a, you want to take it.
Man. I like being up to the nose and stuff. Right. So when I'm knocking it down, I'm like, okay, by the time we get chest level, I got to go ahead and stack up some more goals and inject.
And what I want, because I don't want to say like, you mentioned taking the downtime. That is time. That time is time you need to reset, to reboot.
Oh yeah.
And like, what I mean? So if I'm just sitting back watching motocross or whatever, it's like, I from a dude that does what I do and seeing what it is right there, and it's like I'm watching another group of dudes who have another life of struggle and whatever. For those 30 minutes or whatever, it's like that helps me read that. For me, I'm watching motocross, which is something not related to what I do for a living, but I know what it takes, even though I ain't built none of those bikes. But I'm like, let's be honest, dude. Building a car is much more in detail than building a motorcycle. I mean, we got more moving parts, more heavy. So I'm like, so whatever it is, I can understand. These guys are taking fork tubes off 20 times to get that right height. So that can be. I mean, that's equivalent to like when I put these on, man. Like, ain't no one. You know how it is. It ain't no put it on and done. You gotta crank that shit down.
You gotta adjust. Preload, drive it a little bit, let it settle.
Yeah. So you gotta do that, man. And that's why I charge roughly $1-on-1. I charge $680 at a base to install coilovers, and that just blows people's minds. I'm like, dude, putting the bolts in, that's step one. Now with everything else, you got to do the alignment and everything else. Like, yeah, dude, it ain't cheap. And as a result, man, it is what it is and that stuff, man. But long story short, man, all that stuff is just yeah, man. I just think, again, kind of going back, man, the reason why we jive and gel, man, is because, again, we're two guys doing very, 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 very identical things, on two different parts of the world, and it just works out, man, that we got each other. So
yeah, man, for sure, man. Like, because at the end of the day, like, just venting to my wife sometimes about certain shop struggles, like, she gets it, she understands it, but it's different because she's not out here turning with me. So at the end of the day,
and not to say Richard, she still do a bang up job of what she does though. Like, she's she's a beast.
Like when you if you order a custom suit, you order a seat, you order things on a website, anything like that, she designs all the custom materials.
Yeah.
She does all the operational stuff. Pretty much only thing I do is when it comes to the day-to-day bridge modes, I do the shipping and I do the marketing online. But so Rachel, yeah, she's behind the scenes, but she's an intricate part of the bridge moto business, everything from designing the custom racing suits and seats all the way down to the logistics of making sure everything's operational. She also does all the accounting. So she's a beast. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, so I'm pulling up the suit and everything that Liz got. So of course, everybody know I had the suit at the
yeah,
and everything in the suit. Like, yeah, man, it's like, cool. It's like I look at the positives, man. It's like one thing, man. It's like outside of being like the only black dude there, that's a given. But like having the suit and everything, there was nobody there that had a suit. Everybody had the regular general red, white sparkle, or this and this.
Right.
There was no the only custom suit there, because even the other guys had the suits and they just had like shit all over it, like all the guys and sponsors or whatever, blah blah blah, man. So yeah, man, it's like still on the show with the you know what I mean, and honestly, it was. So it was like I wanted to get the suit out there, people to see the suit and everything, and do what I had to do, and just show the car and everything. So like that's the biggest thing with most of that stuff, man. Is like this, like people say like this showing up is half the battle, and then you get things done and everything. So it was just making statements and showing things, but without doing well in the event, I still did well. It's weird because the people come over.
Oh yeah,
and it's like it's a bunch of cars, but like there was a ton of people migrating towards my car because there was a handful of gaijins there, and people and it's like the Japanese guys, all right, they see them all the time, but they're intrigued by myself and the other gaijins that were there, and
right, it's different,
yeah, and they see that
different style,
so they want to take pictures and they want to do this, and I mean there was a lot of media out there somewhere. I haven't seen it because I'm not friends with them, so I don't see them posted. But yeah, man, the suit, just walking around the paddock with the suit on, it was just like. Again, the black guy's side is like, dude, this motherfucker got a gi belt on it, and like, and his professional, the stitching embroidery, like this is pro shit, like FIA stuff, man.
That's
right.
You
see the tag on the back, it's like, yeah, this ain't no Walmart shit here.
Right. Yep. And at the end of the day, like I always say, you look, if you look good, you feel good, you feel good, you do
yeah,
good,
dude, you feel yeah, definitely, man. You get fit, and then they have only when they were a tailored suit, so it fit me. You know what I mean? It wasn't like baggy on the ass. It wasn't baggy on the stomach. It wasn't like flat.
Yeah, like you borrowed somebody's suit.
It was like it's like I'm walking around like don't care for their things, but one thing I will say, like, you look at the positives and negatives, the SS, the Nazis, they influence a lot of people with their uniforms. That was one of the things that people like, because they were always sharp. They always look good.
Yeah,
and the Marines, believe it or not, the Marines took, the U.S. Marines, and a lot of the people took. Oh shit! Their shit is fucked up what they're doing to people, but their uniforms are dope. Let's do that.
Yeah, you can learn from anybody.
Yeah, so walking around sharp border, it's a statement, man. So we're definitely gonna have some podiums, man, with the suit on, no doubt. And like I said, with that, it's just gonna be we talked about it off air. My philosophy, and that's my philosophy, and everybody's different. I'm gonna do well with less because I can overbuild because I have the knowledge, but I think it's a battle of attrition, and a lot of these guys, they got too much angle, they got too much power, they got too much of a little bit of everything, and the car doesn't stay together. So basically, it's like, hey man, all your car gotta do is you can drift, that's no problem. It's like, can your car make it to the fucking top 16 or top 8? So that's what it is right now.
Yeah, just dissecting that event in general, because I watched quite a bit of it. A driver out there would have done top 10, top 12 just running the proper line, having adequate speed, and being clean, throughout the run. Like, so it wasn't a matter of, oh, I didn't have enough power, I didn't have enough angle, I didn't have enough whatever suspension travel. It always comes back down to the basics. If you think about it, with motorsports, is checking those basic boxes gets you halfway through the comp itself. It
was a flat, dude. That was a flat. It was flat. It was just flat. And also, I forgot how to say his name, but they that was actually their first event ever. Like that was their first ever event of any magnitude, small, big, or large.
Oh, at the track,
yeah, that was,
or what?
Yeah, I mean, no, that was his.
I think it.
That was his first ever event ever.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was, and
well, they did an excellent job for that.
Yeah, they had.
I've been at.
Yeah, they had some. I mean, it was some. They did a thing where it was. We talked about it and it was kind of cool, but so like I normally at the event they have a guy walking around, event coordinator, and they go tent to tent and say, hey, you're up, you're up, you're up. They did everything by line, so you had to have your phone on you. So let's say your phone dies, then you got to get it charged, and we're in the middle of nowhere, so everybody was charging pretty much. They had like a cigarette lighter or a thing that clips onto their battery, so you had to run the car because I had that. I just plugged in, so I didn't have to. That's how I charged my phone up.
Right,
but then the trick was taking power from your battery, but your phone only takes a little bit of whatever to charge. But yeah, so there was no event guy with a phone. There was literally line like you're up, you're in the finals, and then they were so it was cool. But the Tokyo Technique stuff and everything, and pretty much I default to them before unless a guy is hell bent on this particular kit, and I'm like, what do you want to spend $8,000 over for the same product, but actually less support? And when I say that to Tony, like, all right, yeah, let's do this and everything. So it's cool, man. I'd rather push your stuff than the Random Joe stuff and keep it circulating and all that, man. I'm about it. I'm about that. And people say, well, like HKS told me, and the thing is, we utilize these companies when we have to. So we're not saying we don't, but they don't know me. I don't know them.
Right, so. And we try to utilize each other more than that. Yeah, exactly, man. Because at the end of the day, I do care. When your shop progresses or you have an issue at hand, those guys don't even know our name. Nope. So, to me, it's all about supporting each other's circles because those guys they do the same. They've got people they've known since they started.
They basically all work together. So it's like this tiers and everything, and I find myself working more with it's the same working with people because we're all in the same we within 20 years. Let's just say that we're all under 20 years. So again, Ariyama Miya or Top Secret, they're like over 30 years, and like so they don't have correlation to a new shop guy because they've already been there and done that. So it's just like. There's nothing beneficial other than you buying their stuff, but they're not going to big up you because they got Ariyama Miya. So you imagine Ariyama Miya and Top Secret, even though they're GTR Rotary, pretty sure they do business together at some point, some facet because they've come up the same time and everything. So it is what it is. So that's what I'm saying. Like, so you're pretty much like my Smokey or what have you, man. So it's like Smokey Nagata or something like that. Yeah, so you got almost the hair there and everything. But but yeah, man, and it's pretty cool. And so I purposely gravitate towards more startup to my level companies, or the same range because I feel like we can grow together for the next thing versus me trying to tap into Top Secret and they're like, dude, we don't need what you got. We're cool. So
right, yeah, and you're the 1,000th person that's went that route. Versus,
because I even thought about that. I even thought about randomly sending them like my Tesla hoses where I got 20. I've only sold 30 out of the 20, and I've had them for. I was like, man, maybe if I just package them up and send them to there, but I'm like, dude, they got their sources, and I actually gave one shop there, and he never just threw them in the corner. I'm like, cool, dude. I came back to the shop and seen him just sitting in the corner. I was like, all right, well, that tells you where, we're cool, man. So it is what it is.
Right. Yeah.
Well, actually,
we're not value those that value.
We're not really actually, and I try to do work with this guy, and it's just he's before it was comical, and I noticed as I progressed, the message return stopped, and I showed my wife. I was like, he's threatened by what I do.
Yeah.
Because no one he sees that I can do more than he can do. So I was like, that's why he's not messaging. I mean, he just straight up leave me on red and everything. And cool, man. You know what I mean? It is what it is.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've been through it too. Yeah. But you know what? We just keep shining, keep progressing.
Yeah, no doubt. And that's what I'm saying. Like, versus going online and trying to figure out why this guy doesn't like me. I'm like, I got a guy here that likes me. Like, let's work together. Like we you know, what I mean, that's the thing. And then, well, my ending, point, and I'll let you. My ending point on all this stuff, man, is like work on a relationship. Like for guys there, man, work on relationships you already have, and the ones that are like the ones that are those people who DMing you, within reason, because some people waste time too. But answer some of those messages and everything and see what they want and everything. People who want to work with you versus trying to get into LZ circle or trying to get into Samet circle. I mean, I'm naming this because you guys watching YouTube and you know these guys, because everybody wants to be down for the cause and everything. Not saying these are bad guys, but you don't see the real. Even with those guys, you don't see the really behind the scenes of how hard it is to do what they do. With them, respect to everybody's not on the same level, but foster those relationships for the guys you already have. Versus trying to that's my thing, starting up his portion is Nismo GTR, so he's living his life over there, man. My shop owner, my landowner starts.
Oh yeah.
He just bought a brand new.
You just had a Ferrari, right?
Yeah, he got rid of that for the Nismo R35, and actually traded that in, and had to pay money for that 35 Nismo he got.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's like holy shit, man. And then he got a Porsche something. It's like. Yeah, man. But it's like cool, man. I see it, and he sees me. I respect the grind. He's like 60 something, man, 66, 67. So like he's done. Yeah. He's put in his time, and now he's reaping the benefits, man.
And there you go. And I think that's a perfect ending note. Guess what? I guarantee he ain't got no social media.
No, 100% don't.
So exactly. So at the end of the day, my leaving message is do it for the fam, not for the gram.
Yeah.
Be yourself, man, and enjoy what you enjoy. If people don't like it, that's okay. That's why they make different types of cars and food and everything else. But just be true to you.
Be true to you, man.
And that's what I'm gonna continue to do, man.
Yeah.
Continue to be true to me. That's it.
And be on that though. One thing, I mean, just because I wanted to say it before, man. Like, be comfortable.
Yeah.
Like, be comfortable being alone and be comfortable not being in the cliques. Because like I go to the track and it for me is a powerful thing, because I go to the track like the other day. I just had me and my guy Anthony. And I was like, watch this, man. Yeah. I was like, dude, I told him, I was like, all right, this is what we're going to experience. And he's looking at me like, how the fuck do you know? I'm like, I'm going to tell you how the day is going to go, because they're simple-minded people. There's a group of Americans there. They don't say nothing to me. I don't say nothing to them. There's a group of Japanese guys there. I don't say nothing. They don't say nothing to me. Don't say nothing to them. There's the vet guys that I've been here for 15 plus years with. They don't say, I'm like, dude, each one of these groups, the ones in the middle, they don't know if they can talk to me or not, and then they see I parked on there. The Americans, they have their other buddies who I've already told to screw off, so they don't know me, but they already don't want to. I'm like, all right, cool. I don't want to talk to you either. And then the vets, they're down there, and they think they think I'm like shunning them because I got a shop and I've progressed. It's like, dude, it's just literally me and you here with a bunch of people. Like, he didn't get it. I'm like, he was like, dude, you weren't lying. I'm like, dude, I'm telling you how it is, dude. Like, it's just. Instead of like, being a man and coming up to you and talking to you, they just want to, a couple guys did come up to me, and then the other guys who didn't say nothing to me the whole time, they're like, oh, he actually talks. I'm like, yeah, because the dude came up to me like a normal human being and like, hey man, what's up? But I'm not gonna. You're
gonna reciprocate.
I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna go into your tent and sit in Indian style and say, hey man, how's it going? Like, that's not. That's
right. That's not even what you're there for.
I'm not there for that. I'm there to test my car. Yeah. And if you want to sit over there and snicker and giggle or whatever, man, it's like they could have not been saying anything about me, but I'm just saying the energy is there. And so, guys, in a nutshell, man, just be comfortable going places and being not. Some people can't handle not being in a group or not being. I'm like, I actually like it. I like it, dude.
I like
it, dude.
I know it's
you.
You catch me solo dolo or with my family.
Yeah, it's you, bro. Rachel, the girls, and Nismo, the Doug, and in the truck.
That's it.
And it's like so many people, they have to be around a horde of people. They got to go pee together. They got to go. They got to. And then you see like and I'll pull out my camera to record. Then it's like I don't even care about it. No, I'm so turned off by it. Like everybody out there is just like this. It's like now it's like that. And then they want to get this and they want to. It's like, dude, this is nah. I can't.
Yeah, but you know what, man? When you there, don't let nobody steal your glory.
Oh no,
man. Kill them.
No,
kill them with,
I do, man.
Dude,
it's
with your shine.
You go on the track, man, and it's just like the exhaust notes and all that. And you come back and park, and it's like,
dude.
And then they hoard around the car, and it's like, bro, I like it because I know what they're thinking. Like I said again, the car didn't work that day. It worked partially into the boost cutout, and then like I know for a fact it was a handful of guys there that made their night that my car didn't work that night. And then the next day I slapped him with the video at Curie and I. Fucking it works now.
Hey, that place looked really fun.
Oh, dude,
Where is that?
20 minutes from my shop.
What?
So they got this. So they got the Gymkhana course. They got a rally. And actually, what you can't see on the video is it's very undulated. It's not flat. It's very And then
off camera.
There's a rally track, a full course rally track, and then a dirt bike course all in one complex. So that's where I ride the dirt bikes. Cool. That's all. Yeah. That's all theirs.
I know you got a dirt bike for me too.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. For sure, man. I got that.
Man. We're gonna have a blast.
So the thing is, we can if we go there early enough, we can ride dirt bikes, do Gymkhana grip, and go to the rally course all in the same day. It's all right. It's all in the same. It's all in the same. They touch each other. Yeah, it's all in the same thing. So, but then it's funny, man. Goddamn, man. We won't talk too much, man.
Yeah, we always do this.
So I go there, right, and I was testing the car, and I was like, "Hey, when's the next Gymkhana event?" And he was like, "Oh, you drifter." I was like, "Nah, dude, Time Attack too." And then he kind of like laughed it off, and I'm like, last time I came there, I had the S2000, had the S2000, but the cam sensor went out. Then I end up bringing up the Subaru, and I drifted around and everything. Yeah. So he, in his mind, he thinks I'm a drifter because I came here for the drift. I'm like, nah, dude. So like the next event is like October. So I'm gonna have to. I'm going to the event, whatever, but I'll be able to show this guy because I was like, do you drift? He said, oh, Time Attack only. I'm like, typical Japanese man where you don't even try. You just in your mind.
Right.
And then I'm like, the way you're claiming it, I'm like, you're not even where your record's at. Like the way he was talking about it, like Time Attack only, shocker percent, 100%. I'm like, cool, dude. Well, I'm gonna come. I'm gonna go into a drift event and put a faster time than you. I'm gonna bring one of my real cars this time. Put a faster time than you, and then like, well, I'm a drifter though. So how's that happen? It's like, dude, like you. Right. So in his mind, he has it made up that I'm only a drifter. I'm like, nah.
Right, like you can only be a specialist at one thing. Yeah, I had a guy. I had a guy. Somebody, you know how it is when people post up a thing and they'll be like, what shop you recommend for this rebuild or blah blah blah, and then guy posted my shop, and so one of the guys was like, he clicked on it, he was like, oh, I see that you got, like, this wasn't even the guy that was requesting the work. But this guy was like, oh, I see you got Mitsubishis and Toyotas at your shop. And I was like, yeah, I don't just build rotaries. I build all JDMs. And he was like, well, to me, I don't think that you can be you can be proficient enough at rotaries and still work on. I was like, okay, I tell you what, go ahead and post your car for every one car you post. I'll post 5 that I built. And then we'll see who's proficient or not. He didn't post one damn car, didn't respond or that. And I wasn't trying to big doll him, but what I was basically saying is, dude, for your one rotary that you built, I've already built 5 of those, not even including all the other chassis I built. So in my mind, it's like you don't have to be just a rotary special. You don't have to specialize in just building rotaries to be proficient at building rotaries. You can, because as well as I do, it all overlaps. If you can build an RB very well, you can build a 2J very well. You just got to learn where their weak points are. Yeah. It's not that big of a difference.
Yeah.
And to me, it just kills me. Like, and the same thing goes like you're saying with the Time Attack. Dude, like the really good drivers I know, they can do it all. Like, you remember when we were at AMP and I was introduced you to my friend Sammy, the old D1 GP guy. Yeah, I mean, he's probably one of the best Time Attack guys I know, but he's been drifting just as long. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, dude, that's a silly philosophy to me.
The whole thing is within Japan, like that actually is the reason why I don't have Japanese customers, because they don't trust that I know what I'm doing, because they figured you got to be all RB, or you got to be all 2J, or you got to be all 4AG. And it's like, nah, dude, this is in theory. They do the same things. They air sparks, the same thing.
Right.
They do the same thing. It's just they sound different.
Or cycle combustion.
Yeah, they sound different. But I'm like, dude, it's the same process. Like you don't pull the pistons out of the bottom. You know what I mean? It's like I mean, it's like you can in some applications, but in RB26 you can't until you take out the squirters. Then why would you pull the pistons out the bottom? Like you don't put them in through the bottom, you put them in through the top with the head on. You can't put the head on until you put the pistons in. It's like it's the same thing. And then the rotary is, it has this thing like where guys try to take the thermal pellet and smash it into the one that's already in there. It's stuff that I just read enough and seen that people like they don't know that's in there. They got to extract the old pellet and then they try to jam that, and then they don't have you can't, you've seen it, what I'm talking about. And spring and all that stuff.
Then they'd have, right. Yeah. And you can simply just replace that and do a solid piece.
Yeah.
And because a lot of guys, when they try to swap that out like that and rig it up, they end up not getting the oil temps up because that pellet is designed to slide once the operating temp is reached. Which you just, you're killing the lifeline of your rotary by not having that design, that pellet in there properly.
Yeah, man. So those little stuff right there, and like most people like, you talk about that, then talk about the harmonics of the RB26. Where, like I said, that's one thing I like, and that's one thing I don't. People praise things. I'm like, bro, everything out there has some. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, man. That's not a flawless engine out there. Like there's I've never worked on one that's flawless. There's some that are close, but some are better than others. We'll just put it that some
way.
are better than others, but it's like for as much as I know the faults of the RB26 and I fixed them. It's like literally two little things for the third old gen. The one on
crank neck.
The crank collar and the goddamn little 10-cent dropping piece that controls the oil flow in the head, which means you don't need the whole head drain thing like everybody was doing back in the day. It's a cool if you're running it up there, then it's a nice security thing, but it's not required now because you got the little thing that's slowing the oil down from filling the galleys into the head, which was a problem for sure with the older ones and everything. It was just too big. They designed it too big. Well, take that back. For normal driving, it was just fine, but for us running it up there at 8,000 RPMs, that shit's going like this, and that oil is like I can't cavitate. I can't. Well, it's cavitating because it can't go back down quick enough, and you're like pushing that shit up there through the head. It ain't meant for that. It's like too much oil. Too much oil is bad, believe it or not. It's choking the damn engine out. But yeah, man, it's
your fucking catch can full.
Yeah, I had one of those before with our SR, man. At the no shit, really was a catch can. I had to pour the oil back into the engine to drive home. That was fun. But that was actually my last time driving to an event too. That was from Maze.
Oh, wow.
I drove from Masawa to Maze, which is all the way on the east coast of Japan. So all the way out there. But yeah, man.
Yeah, Maze circuit.
Yeah, it's a good circuit, man. But yeah, man, like definitely once you things get back to normal, I'll be open here. Then I'll got to get the 33 ready to get that up and sent over, which will be like that'll be pretty much pro-am spec. I'll get the turbo, and again I'll keep it simple, dude. Like I said, I think Stank.
Oh yeah.
That just keeping it simple with that. I'm literally gonna do it with that bolt-on turbo option that you offer for the 25. Like that.
Oh yeah, we'll make 500 all day.
I'm like, bro, and then it'll pop the hood like, well, where's this fab and where's this C and where's the it's my shit and his shit together.
That's it.
It's like, you know what I mean? It's like, you know what I mean? It's like it's pretty damn cool, man. And it's like it's one of those things where like, nah, you don't need all that stuff. I'm not saying I'm not saying that you can take a 400 horsepower car and then line up at FD because that's just you just can't. There's levels. Yeah. But I don't need a FD car to do these pro-am events, and that's what I think a lot of guys are doing. And I'm like, the judges will see like, well, you just got beat by a 400 horsepower car, dude, 400, 500 horsepower car. You should go back and recalibrate, skill up, and then you could really put that 900 horsepower to use and everything. So, but hey, man, that's my theory. That's my theory. Not everybody else.
No, I'm with you. Simple is best, man. Simple is best because when if we need to fix something, if you got it to a simplistic setup that we can have spare parts to, we'll be back in the game. Yeah. So
too easy, man. But on that, man, I'll let you get out of here, man, and not let you go. I don't let people say that shit. Like I'm letting you go somewhere. And let you do nothing.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you.
That's just a figure of speech. People like, no, you ain't let me do nothing. But it's like, but thanks for letting me have you on the podcast. Let's say that, man.
Oh yeah, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Like, so
Sincerely, for real.
definitely value your time. I know, again, you got a bunch of stuff you could be doing and everything, so I'm always grateful. And then, like I say, just capping off, man, there's a section, I just want to make clear, I wasn't saying like I was saying some of the guests I had on, and it was just, it wasn't that I didn't appreciate their time. It's just that it didn't vibe, because I was trying to go through a certain thing and do certain things, and at the time trying to get and now it's just like, naturally, if these numbers, if it could take me another year or two to get to 200, and if it does, whatever, but I will know that those numbers will be more quality over quantity, because I'm not chasing 500,000 episodes. That's whatever, because you're gonna have 500,000 episodes and they don't do nothing because you're just rushing it. It's not genuine. It doesn't mean anything. So that's why, for guys who was messaging me where the podcast at, I'm just not rushing them like that. If they happen, they happen. Once, twice, 3 times a month. But it is what it is, man.
No, that makes sense, man. And at the end of the day, you got to try those things before you know what works and what doesn't. So
yeah, and unfortunately, I was like, it didn't yield the numbers I thought it would yield, because again, I figure some guys are certain ways, and actually it's about 3 guys that I've done podcasts with that I don't even talk to anymore. Like, there was some situation, but I'm not going to delete the podcast. I'm not going to just stay up.
Yeah,
so I'm not.
It's part of the history.
Petty. So it's just like, people don't, people think they know what you're about, and then when you start talking and let them know, hey, this was what I'm about. I thought you were a certain way, and I come to find out you're not. So I don't hate you, but there's just nothing to talk about. I'm not going to delete the podcast, but it's just so maybe they still watch it, but it's just everybody ain't made to be friends, man, and that's one thing I'm fine with, and I don't feel like a bad person because I'm not this guy's friend.
No, not at all, man. That's why we on to new episodes.
Yep. More new friends up there. There's somebody that was born today that if you live long enough, we'll run into him. That's crazy to think, dude. That's crazy to think.
Wild.
That's crazy as wild as hell to think that somebody being born today, right today, if we have blessed to live a longer life, that they'll come down shop to get some parts or some shit. And we know it because there's people who were born in the time frame that we got in the cars. And now they're our customers.
We used to be the young guys, we could go to the teenagers going to these shops trying to get some spare parts and soak up some knowledge.
Yeah, there's literally 21-year-olds that come to my shop. I'm like, dude, like, you were literally born the same year I got in the car.
Right.
Like,
now,
crazy, dude.
That's wild.
Another 5 years.
Now you're senpai.
Yeah, another 5 years, I literally will be guys that, about another 5 years, there'll literally be guys that were straight up born, and I was, now I'm running the shop and doing whatever, and yeah, man, it's what it is, man. But cool, man. Again, thanks for the time and everything. Again, guys, there, be sure to check out British Moto, Alan Newsome, Facebook, British Moto on all the media outlets that he puts it on, and Toge Techniques and everything. Mainly Instagram and Facebook, and then of course TogeTechniques.com, and then British Moto International now, or
BridgeMoto.com.
This is BridgeMoto.com. Okay. So BridgeMoto.com, and then, of course, that's down in the description. You just click on it and all that good stuff, so it saves you time for typing on your phone, because you're always typing up for your cat videos and stuff like that. You got to save your energy for those searches and everything, man. So I'm just fucking with y'all, man. But cool, this is going to be Diane signing up from South Japan, and we got my guy Alan signing up from Talking Rock, Georgia, and getting everything. So see you guys. See you guys later. Peace. Cool. But you know the deal, man. How I'm going to do the, what's called. I think it's still a little bit too early for that, because everybody had line there. It was a group of like 150 people, so it was the mechanics and all that stuff. So everybody got notified, but there was things like when I showed up, I actually was the last person to show up. I was like, fuck, man, I'm the last guy to show up. And I pulled up last, and then there was literally nobody there to like tell me where to go at. I had to pretty much, based off on like my previous knowledge of events, then I just walked up to the one guy like, hey, where did the drivers go? And he was like, what do you need? I'm like, I'm a driver. Oh, you're a driver. You just park all the way up there. We had the pit bike, and then so he was like, well, you can't go in there, so you got to offload here and drive the car into the pits with all the shit in it. And then I was the last person to leave, last person to arrive, first person to leave, man. So I was like, whatever, dude. I'm not, we drove 12 hours down. I'm not hanging around for about an hour, and then we packed up and left. I'm like, all right, this adventure is done. Let's get back on the road. And actually, we went to the hotel and slept, man, because we didn't sleep for like.
You didn't have any sleep, right?
Well, I didn't sleep for 2 days, and then my guy actually, luckily, he drove big trucks. He actually drove down, and I got about an hour of sleep. And yeah, then I swapped over because he started, getting tired and everything, man. And then I pushed the rest of the way, but I drove all the way from the Okubuki back to Misawa, like straight shot. Just drove all the way back. He was like,
right.
He's like, man, you do it like this? I'm like, yeah, dude, because it was daytime. It was daytime all the way until like we got around about Ibisu, but yeah. And then it was nighttime. I'm like, dude, turn on the podcast, and he's like, dude, you drive all the way back. I'm like, yeah, dude, this. People spend 8 hours. Yeah, people spend 8 hours on fucking Netflix. It's wide awake.
Right.
Wide
but
awake.
You can't drive.
Yeah, dude. So no, he got the he just and like I told you on the thing, we were just podcast was on, and he was just like he also had his own stuff, and I was like, dude, you need to get away from Misawa, and he was like, dude, thanks for that because I really needed it. He had some stuff going on, so he was like, dude, just. Everything was quiet. We weren't really talking, and he was like, "Hey man," he was like, "Dude, major respect, dude. I knew you worked hard, but he was like, he saw in 48 hours what really goes down and like how hard I push to the point where I don't drink, I don't eat." He's like, "Dude, like you're a fucking machine." I'm like, I got to do what I got to do to get done, and it's like I didn't have the pressure of sponsors, but I did have the pressure. I want to get your product out there. I want to not have the suit made and miss an event, and also I paid for the event. And I'm not getting money back. So it's like, what I mean? I got the card to the point where I can go there, you know what I mean? So it wasn't like I had a chance, but then the pump blew. And it was like, dude, fuck, that would have, it is what it is, dude. Because people like.
Yeah, we always plan it forward to the next one. Speaking of the next one, you said it's Nico. Yeah. You know the date?
It's going to be.
And what's the event series?
It's actually D1 Regionals, September 19th. So that's right. I mean, but it's cool. Like I said, that push we made, the car's already ready. I've already done the test. I got the boost on par. I'm actually only running like 15 psi, and that thing makes about probably like with the settings I got and the ignition, just for my feel, because I've driven a lot of cars. I'm gonna dyno it at some point when I get it open, and it's about 480, maybe 480, 490. That's it. But it goes.
That's a good setup.
Yeah, it goes like when you're in a car, the dude's like, dude, this shit feels like about what I guess 800 horsepower would feel like. It just goes really quickly, and I'm like, that's because I'm utilizing all the power. You can have 900 horsepower, but you're scared to push that throttle. Doesn't mean shit. You know what I mean? So,
exactly, and you're running a twin turbo, the twin turbo RB26.
Yeah, I'm actually, and that's I've been a single guy because the singles do work well. But after like having these, I got some Tomei, they're Tomei A types, but they got ported, so they're aftermarket. They're like, so they're not normal.
Right, yeah.
So they're ball bearing, dude. Those motherfuckers, man, dude, they put it down. They put it down.
Yeah, I remember them. I remember the old the Gretty, the Gretty twin turbo stock location. Them things would hit hard. Yeah, too. Dude. But yeah, man, I'm a big fan of the RB26, the twin setups. Man.
That sound too, man. You hear that peculiar sound that even though I like my singles, that sounds like that's that sound, man. That sound is that signature.
That quick spool.
Yeah. So yeah, man, they do well. So the reason for that is I sold that kit a while ago, and these came. So pretty much, dude, that whole setup is a collection of part soups. It's an R34 bottom end that I got from that R34 build. I bought it back from for $1,000. So it's actually a stock bottom end, stock rod, stock everything. I mean, yeah, it just has I just have studs for the main studs. I got head studs and gasket, and that's like guys that are listening and watching, man. Like you can maintain that and your clamping force and your gasket. You got to at least change those because those are holding things together. Versus hold them together versus pushing together is a different thing out there. So highly recommend fasteners, good solid head gasket, which I lowered the compression a little bit, which allows you to run more boost and all that technical shit, jargon, whatever.
Right. But give you a little bit of safety room
people have seen it and they like, dude, what's done to them? Like nothing, dude. I'm like the little bit of porting here, a little bit of porting there, but simple. It's nothing that if I blew it up, I couldn't replace it tomorrow. Nothing.
Yep, and that goes back to what we talked about offline. Like I said, if we can't buy it twice, then it shouldn't be on the car.
Yeah.
And that's how I believe it. Like, cause right now, like let's just say that you blew those turbos. I got those turbos
Yeah.
not the Tomei, but I got some 26 turbos on my shelf.
Yeah.
But if you had some extravagant, Borg Warner, then we may be effed for the next comp. You know what I mean? So in my mind, when it comes to comp stuff, you should be able to buy two of them or buy it twice. If you can't afford to buy it twice, it shouldn't be on the car. And I think that just keeps things mild, keeps things in budget.
Yeah, my bad. I'm sending my message to Shinobu.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
But yeah, in a nutshell, man. What I think it is too, because I'm definitely gonna go down memory lane with Benson tomorrow, and we'll talk about that too. Is I think a lot of the new cats, you're a product of when you came in the game, whatever that, and it's more significant now because I think we're like the last generation that will look back. We'll read, Art of War. We'll read. We know. I'm a big history guy, looking at Roman stuff, how they were advantages and disadvantages, how they run a culture, civilization,
Right.
different things like that. I don't think the new guys. There's just so much information now that they're like, this is life, man. Whatever happened before I was born doesn't matter. Music, movies. You mentioned something that you like. Full Metal Jacket is something like we all seen for the most part. Like Full Metal Jacket was that,
Right.
and like you're this go hard Marine and you don't know what a Full Metal Jacket is. Like seriously, there's Marines now that don't know what Full Metal Jacket is. Like how?
That's wild.
So it's like this used that as an example. They see what they see now, which is big angle, LS swaps, this, and this.
Mm-hmm.
And then the building, I'm like, they think they're struggling, which is why I'm hard on me. Like, bro, you literally fucking open a good website and you drag and drop your build on one page and you're done, and it shows up and you bolt it
I like
and
that.
you
That's
and you
funny.
bolt it in. What are you bitching
Yeah,
about?
man, it pretty much is a fucking Lego
Yeah.
kit. Like back.
Not knocking it because it's nice. It's nice now because we've
I'm
been
not
through it.
complaining. Like, yeah, exactly. Yeah. When I first started, you had to build your own wiring harness. You had to
skill we
figure
had,
out what motor what motor mounts worked, all that stuff, man. But I'm thankful of it because that's why I can troubleshoot just about anything that fucking takes gasoline or diesel. Just because I had to learn it that way. I had to learn it where you had to diagnose, not part swap.
Right.
It's a big difference.
Big difference.
A lot of guys can part swap.
And that, like, I'm 39. I'm 39. I just learned how to clean and install and adjust a carb at 38. You know what I'm saying? That's something that, like,
Right, yeah.
now the guys ahead of us are like, kind of like, oh, these dudes don't know how to do. I'm like, well, nobody. I mean, the carbs had their time and they're still useful in certain applications, but the EFI is just too efficient now. It's just.
Right.
What do you want to start your shit and run, or you just want to be like that dude? Well, my shit runs good when it warmed up or at its elevation. Like our shit can adjust on the fly. So even though like every generation has that, we were the better ones or the one, but that's progression. The next generation should have it
That's
easier than the one prior, or we're going backwards. And the way this shit's going right now, honestly, I feel like for the advances. It seemed like it's kind of going backwards. Just getting off car stuff, man. Because like I'm looking at stuff online when I do see stuff. Most of the times I'm on the toilet, and I'm like, dude, this 2022, and it looks like that's still in Baltimore in this corner, and they're carrying on like this. This is shit that was happening in '95. The same,
right?
So it's like nothing really changed for a lot of people in that area. I'm like, and that's why when I go back home and do it, I'm like, dude, I'm not going back and going like for what. Like none of y'all are on my mental capacity as far as what I experienced in life, what our conversation is going to be like. Because you're all talking about high school shit. You're talking about that was
the glory days.
I'm like, dude, that was cool. We won championships, but I've done more stuff, man, significant stuff in my life since then. So it's just no relation. And I'm not trying to be a dick to people, but. It's like, dude, if you're not bringing any progression to my life, I don't want nothing to do with you in any facet.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you got to surround yourself with like-minded people that are moving in a progressive state, or you sit still. Like I see a lot of wasted talent because people want to stick around and fold to peer pressure because that seems like the thing to do.
Right.
I'd rather be alone, man. Like you see where I live. I love solo dolo, man. I love it, bro. You ain't never. I guarantee you to find.
Bro, it was like tranquility to just to wake up in the guest bedroom and it's just like quiet. And then,
just
dude,
teams,
I
and
really,
them
I mean, I know there's other
birds.
places in America that's just like similar to your setup,
Oh
man.
yeah,
Even in Maryland, there's places
yeah,
like that, but it's like, man,
definitely.
that time frame outside of like getting back, and then and it was just much needed still to this day, man. And it was just like to see another operation, and then the cool thing I love, man, I love and we didn't document it as much because again we're not those type of guys. It could have been cool, but when we had that issue, and I actually had it happen again with the tooth breaking off, and it's like I can time it, but I don't feel like let's take it out, put another cam in, and it was like, bro, I'm in your garage, and it's just like you were doing this, I was doing that. It was like no, we didn't have to say nothing. It's like
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was breaking one engine
yeah,
down. You were breaking the
there
other
was
one.
like, and it was like, and then like there was the professional part of like, what's the possible issue? All right, you ID that I didn't push in the one clip, we push it in, we figured out something else, and we got. It was just like there wasn't like there
We're
was
checking and
right,
balancing.
and it
each
wasn't
other.
like no
Yeah,
outlandish
well,
dude with a floppy piece of pizza. Like, hey man, you think about taking this out? Like it's like get the fuck out of here, dude. It was like it was quick, precise, and we like, all right, we figured out that within 10 minutes we figured out this and this. All right, the teeth is gone. The timing was off a little bit, and then unfortunately the engine also had compression issues and stuff like that. But and then you fix it already. You've already been drifting the car, man. So, it goes to show, man, and like because that's a test, man. It's like I didn't. I mean, it wasn't a test. I wasn't like let's see how like it just happened naturally, which means like
Right.
we're on the same wavelength as far as like we work in this shop where we ain't got a bunch of distractions because people who do they mind they can't think quick because they're waiting for 5 dudes to weigh in on what it is, and
Right.
then like no, we don't need 5 guys. We know, hey dude, this is pretty much what's going on.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
man. It's good synergy, for
Yeah.
sure. I look forward to coming there,
Oh yeah,
and
man.
once the gates kind of open up a lot better, I definitely come. I want to do some fun exhibition
Oh
drift
yeah,
stuff, hitting tracks. But as far as like the grip stuff, I want to do definitely some
yeah.
competition stuff like
And
that.
speaking on that's
Uh,
the grip stuff. That's I said it at the drift track to the guy the other day. I kind of Sun Tzu, man, Sun Tzu. Being
Sun Tzu,
being
okay.
subtle about your kind of generalizing, man, like being subtle about like the certain things, but then being like there was a guy there in particular who I let it be known that like I'm like, dude, I'm trying to figure out, and I told him right, I asked him like, hey man, just curious why you chose this shop 8 hours away from here versus my shop and this and this. And his response was like, well, you seem busy. I'm like, all right, well, cool, thanks, man. And I left it at that. Then I went on a little rant. I was like, well, for a fact, there's no shop in Japan that's doing anything I can't do or don't do. And I was like, number one, I was like, drifters, I'm out of it, man. I haven't had any significant work here by a drifter, and my thing is time attack. So at the track, I was like, well, number one, I do both of them. I was like, I'm focusing more on time attack because that's where the money is. And he looked at me like kind of
Right.
dumbfounded. I'm like, dude, like you guys don't. I'm like, you drifters don't spend fucking money. And when you do, like you want to attach yourself to again a clout shop, a shop that seems to have it going on more. And then now you're getting like, oh yeah, my car's still there sitting on jack stands and this and this. I'm like, yeah, because you chose your shop not based on work ethic and quality, but more of a clout.
based on hype.
Yeah, hype.
Yeah,
And
based
it's
on
like,
hype
so-
and clout. Yeah, I see it all the time, man.
So
Yeah, I
so-
see it all the
so-
time. The funny part, my favorite part about that is when they hit me up and they say, "Hey, man, I want to get all this work done. Da da da. I just got to go pick up the shop from XYZ Motorsports." I'm like, "No, bro. If I understand I wasn't your first choice, so I'm too busy right now." I let them know, man. If I wasn't your first
Oh,
choice,
yeah.
if I was your second, now it's fine for you to shop around and see who's gonna fit
Yeah.
your
And that's
relationship,
fine, that's fine.
your bill. That's fine. But when you drop it off somewhere else and they failed to work on your car, I'm not waiting in the wings, bro. I'm not sitting up in the rafters back
Yeah,
there waiting for you
dude,
to bring
that's
your car.
dude,
That's what they think.
Yeah, that's like that right there. That part to me, the whole my thing is like if you email me and I've done a quote for you and then you go AWOL
Yeah.
and come, that's a real. And I posted it. I was like, dude, we're not saying that you can't go different places, but when you've engaged us
Yeah.
and we giving you some time, my thing is I've given you at least 30 to 40 minutes of my time for free. That's
Right.
that's
Respect that.
that's
Yeah.
not You know what I mean? So it's like, no, we can't do that, man. And then like you go somewhere else, and then like when I'm telling you, and I'm not mentioning the shops, I'm telling you how I do my business, and you choose to go somewhere else because they promise this, or and I'm like, I tell them I'm not promising you nothing but a good product. You know what I mean? But I'm not promising you, it's going to be done on this day to make this car show. And that the one I post, if you've seen the information about the GTR thing going around, you know what I mean? I didn't read it for I read it for like I'm good, man. I'm not, everything that he's pulling out, I'm doing none of that. So that means I'm on the right track because so I'm not reading it, for WitchCom. It's like I'm consuming it for. I mean, am I doing this? Am I doing it? Like I do itemized quote for everybody. Blah blah blah, all this stuff, man. So I know that I'm doing that, and everything he mentioned that the shop didn't do, I don't do none of that shit. So number one, your car ain't in my shop. If it ain't getting worked on, it ain't there. It's at your garage.
Facts.
I'm not even.
Yeah, man.
We ain't sitting around.
Yeah, it's like don't come to me. Like I don't like when it's just like a relationship. Like let's just say that you met two girls, and then the one you were chasing, you met them both at the same time. The one you were chasing, they ended up like, nah, I'm not really interested in you. Then you go back to the other chick and be like, hey, what you doing? She gonna hang up. Oh yeah,
like she was like, and then, like I said, like the other chick was just sitting there waiting, like, oh, I hope he called, like just staring at the phone for 3 months straight, and then they hit you up. What I don't like with anybody is like, there's a and that's not only business but in life in general. People hit you up as if like that last conversation you just pick right back up, and then
your life paused.
Yeah, I'm like, nah, dude. Like I booked literally 10 more. Like some people's real life. I booked literally 10 to 13 more customers since the last time you talked to me. And then that quote was 2 years old. Like, no, it's not gonna be the same.
Yeah, let me go ahead and refresh that.
Yeah, you hit that refresh.
We both had that.
Hit that refresh button.
That ain't my shop rate. Yeah, you got, okay, it's 45 hours on this per hour shop rate. Okay, let's bump that up $15 times 45. Let's go.
I had one dude recently. I did it.
You missed that opportunity.
The parts, the thing. I'm like, dude, not trying to like assault your intelligence, but this quote was in the first year of the pandemic, and 2 years ago. And now everything you see, you watch the news, you see the inflation. Like I'm not. One thing I'm not. I do not account. I'm not losing money on shipping. I'm not. I'm not going to cover. Like there's a certain, within a reason, like a couple bucks here and there, which we all gonna to make things happen. You gotta, give a little bit, but not to the amount of like $300-$400. Like nah, dude, that's not happening because that's what is happening now with the inflation. The shipping is going up. And then one guy, and look, he's on board now. He's gonna drop his car next week. Next week is a Z for a full engine build, and but we had to have two. I never had to have 2 meetings, but I'm like, dude, you got to come back in because you didn't understand what I was saying the first time and how everything is going to go. And so I came back in, and he was like, oh yeah, all right, so I understand now and everything. But prior to that, he was saying like, I noticed the rates for labor is up. I'm like, yeah, dude, yeah.
So is that milk? Yeah, so is that milk you bought at
well, I mean, it's not. I'm like, that's just like about a year go up. Like, it's going to go up. It's going to increase, and I'm not going to stay at 80. When I started the first year, I was doing like roughly 95 an hour. That's where I was about $90 an hour. So now I'm at. If anybody's interested, I'm like, I'm about at $155 an hour, man. And it's like, bro, that ain't for the quality I know I'm putting out.
Getting that
exactly. The pictures, the amount of data I could feed back to you on a breakdown. Like I was doing all that for free, man. Like I was all those images, and me, the way I ain't saying nobody got to do it.
Booked. Yeah,
I do that for not only to show the customer, but also the reason why is insurance. Like hey man, that was done, that was torqued down. That was changed.
Right.
Here's your old parts. I took a picture of old parts. You ain't never gonna like that. I never had I've been open 6 years, and their shop's been open 2-3 years. They already got claims out of the ass for blowing people's shit up and taking the car in town. And I document your mileage. I document your trip. I document your A trip, your B trip. You know what I mean? I document just everything. Scrapes on your wheels, everything, because you're never gonna hit me up and say I did something or this and this. And I have slipped a couple times and not done something not document it, and luckily nothing happened. But I was like, oh shit, I didn't, it happens. I didn't write that down, or I didn't take a picture of this, or the camera was dead. And that's done it too. I kind of got, because people started expecting that. So I'm like, look, I'm doing this for my own thing. I don't have to do this. I will show you your old parts. Here's your old parts. Like, I mean, the shit ain't leaking. The engine's still in there. So obviously I talked it down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it is what it is, man.
Yeah, and the good thing is now you're to the point, you're established to the point where people know the quality they're going to get when they come there. So they're willing to pay for your expertise.
Right.
You know what I mean? And, we both learned those first couple years, like we took certain jobs we may not have been enthusiastic about, but they were developmental jobs for our business. And now we're past that point. We can select the jobs that are, a group, current to what we want to work on, and it makes sense for our shop. Like you said, you're getting to the point where you're doing bigger and bigger bills, and that's what makes sense for your business. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, those customers are going to be lining up, and the ones that want to take those shortcuts and stuff, they're not going to even bother you anymore, because they've already learned over the years, what's tolerated.
Yeah, and they do a good job of. I mean, honestly, man, it's funny, man. Like the first couple years, I had to really like always say things, but now they do the job for me. Like I don't have to say nothing. They talk. So like the fact that, and that gives the fact that I turn a guy away and I'm turning away money, and that guy he'll say it in like a negative, like he don't want to do that, because it gets back to me the stuff people say, and I was like, he ain't saying it to me, so it don't matter anyway. So leave it at that. He ain't talking directly to me, so it don't matter. But you've already showed me how much of a man you're not. So there's nothing to even talk about. I'm not gonna talk about another man that's not present. You know what I mean? That I haven't said nothing to him anyway, and I don't gossip. I don't do all this. No, whatever, dude.
We're way too busy for that.
But the people was like the situation with like I said, the little crank pulley. I let that fester in my mind for about like 5 minutes, on the way like how I know what's happening even without being there, because how childish and cowardice a lot of these guys are. Just because he didn't get the part he needed, I'm like, dude, I took time out of my day. Then after, I could have said no, and then whatever. I was like, I could make a quick $50 in like 20 minutes and whatever, but it's like, man, I know for all the great customers I had and all the stuff out there, it's like, bro, I got way too many happy people out there to even waste my time on one guy that's unhappy about, a small part that didn't even have to offer. Like, I didn't need to sell that crank pulley. That didn't put my business into the next stratosphere. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, man. like you already said, man. Like if you look at the big picture, like Jeff Bezos ain't worried about some guy that returned his order to Amazon because he wasn't happy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. He for one unhappy person, he's probably got 10,000 happy.
Right, and that's what and we're not. And I don't want to get the story wrong, man. Like, me and Alan don't do this, guys that are listening and watching. Like, having an unhappy customer because, again, the guy paid $31K. That's the number. You guys know what I'm talking about out there. The guy paid $31K, and it was mostly in parts and different stuff and blah, blah, blah. He didn't actually pay the shop $31K. He paid the shop this much. Right. It was labor. But still, not saying a $9K or whatever the price was. Not getting into what I don't want to talk about that shit. But, you know what I mean? When a guy, because I had to happen with a customer, and then I showed him like, hey man, yeah, you paid me this much, right? And the job was a great job. He just was a nitpicking motherfucker. The job was a great job, spoiled by the way he carried himself to the point where I didn't even advertise the job, because I'm like, you just ruined it. You just ruined the.
Just put a bad taste.
I'm like, I didn't want to advertise your car, and I'm like, dude, you just spent about fucking $29K in parts, but I got about 9-something K in labor, and that was actually under for what I did. So I was like, actually, this is what you would have paid. And I was like, congratulations, you're the last promotional build. So now everybody else is going to get the actual cost and everything. So after I showed him what he would have paid, like he calmed way down. And then I'm like, everything was perfect, dude. Like the engine was great. There was no leaks. I mean, it was
just nitpicking.
A picture perfect job, and I'm like, you just ruined it because you feel like, because number one, the guy I taught you about before, he had a problem with, like, he didn't want to relinquish. Like he had a problem with himself because he couldn't do the job and I can do it, and there's another man working on your car when you feel like you should be able to work on it, and that just killed him. So he, for the little stupid shit, he nitpicked. I'm like, there's nothing wrong with this. So I'm like, and that's why I terminated the way I did. I'm like, dude, I've done everything proper. I got everything documented. I provided everything, and like the little stuff you're nitpicking, I actually even fixed that one. It was one little thing. I even fixed that.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, I even fixed it. So now we're squared away. So what else is wrong? Like, you got a perfect engine that can make 900 horsepower, and like, you're not even saying thanks about the engine. You're like talking about a piece of plastic that I cut off, that I asked you to cut off.
Yeah, man, it's the old dude with the hot girlfriend that can't get her pregnant.
Yeah.
So he calls me.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. So it's like all that stuff, man. It's same with you, man. It's like we can't even control or harp on it. As long as we know we did everything we had to do. Now, naturally, right, if you in a situation where you got a car back and everything is leaking, everything is loose, and that's unacceptable. I mean, that's and we're not doing it to people. So
yeah, that's something.
Yeah, that's something different where customer does have the right to throw all the flags up, and now you got social media. So instead of going back man to man, that's the problem now too. They won't even go back fucking man to man. They go right to social media. Like, dude, you didn't even give me a chance to fix it. You just went right online, right. And I had people try to do that shit, and then I put down a picture like, hey man, since you guys want to be in a drama, here's the picture thing, and the guy's like, hey man, he did everything. Like, and then the guy deletes the post because you thought I didn't have the data. It's like, you trying to call me out now. You look like a dickhead. You see that a bunch of times where it backfires, and the guy's like,
yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, it's like.
At the end of the day, when you do great work like we do, man, at the end of the day, man, those things are far and in between. And then when they do come, we've got everything documented. So
yeah,
we're blessed to have great customers, and that's all that really matters.
Yeah. Speaking on that, man, I don't know why I lied to myself when you saying we'll do 45, 50 minutes, because that never happens. Man.
How long we been on here?
2 hours.
What is that?
2 hours and 2:28 right as of right now.
Oh wow!
I gotta get it.
Listen.
I gotta go in town to buy a 12 by 1.5 because I don't have that tap here. Or I don't have the tap, so I gotta go buy that to fix that caliber. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, man. So
you just borrow mine, man. Here you go.
Yeah.
Come pick it up.
I got I think actually I might have. I think I bought it a single because I definitely used it before, but I got the regular kit, but it don't have that M12 by. They got M12 by 1.25.
Yeah. They jump for like 1 to 5.
And like the weird was like the 1.0 to 1.5. Yeah, I should have 1.5.
Yeah, I know you're talking about it's big as hell, but then had the really, really fine thread, like a 14 by 1.0. I'm like, man, y'all tripping.
Yeah.
Y'all should use a regular ass bolt.
Crazy, man. Cool, man. But I'm gonna get out of here, man. Like I said, again, guys, make sure you go over to bridgemoto.com. Go over to Toge Techniques, check out the Alan stuff there. So again, definitely check out the new release from the Kai Fury seats, wheels, gloves, and also he released the for the guys who just got regular seat belts. You got the pads right there, as you can see. Click on it right here. Then you have the Kai Furies, and you got the harness pads for the Bridge Moto as well. So it's pretty cool to go across the regular seat belt. And that's like I say, because a lot of times with new cars out there, guys, the seats are actually pretty stock was a decent, and the seat is like this change, man, where you can actually I wouldn't recommend racing a car with a regular single seat belt, but some of those things you can just have a nice shoulder pad and have an enjoyable ride. Then throw your 4-point harness on, which you can get there from Bridge Moto as well. And then for the seat as well,
sir.
You can buy sliders and various lengths and stuff like that for various makes and models that he offers for it. So definitely go out there and check out Bridge Moto, check out Toge Techniques for what he offer. Again, guys there who are the customers, you see me bring up before the Toge Techniques stuff and everything, and pretty much I default to them before, unless a guy is hell bent on this particular kit, and I'm like, what do you want to spend $8,000 over for the same product, but actually less support? And when I say to Tony, like, all right, yeah, let's do this and everything. So it's cool, man. I'd rather push your stuff than the Random Joe stuff and keep it circulating and all that, man. I'm about it. I'm about that. And people say, well, HKS told me, and the thing is, we utilize these companies when we have to. So we're not saying we don't, but they don't know me. I don't know them.
Right,
So.
and we try to utilize each other more than that. Yeah, exactly, man, because at the end of the day, I do care, when your shop progresses or you have an issue at hand, those guys don't even know our name.
Nope.
So
Yeah.
to me, it's all about supporting each other's circles, because those guys, they do the same. They've
Yeah.
got people they've
What
known
they
since
do?
they started.
They basically all work together. So it's like, this tiers and everything. And I find myself working more with not it's the same working with people, because we're all in the same we within 20 years. Let's just say that we're all under 20 years. So again, Ariana Mia or Top Secret, they're like over 30 years, and like so they don't have correlation to a new shop guy, because they've already been there and done that. So it's just like there's nothing beneficial other than you buying their stuff, but they're not going to big up you because they got Ariana Mia. So you imagine Ariana Mia and Top Secret, even though they're GTR Rotary, pretty sure they do business together at some point, some facet, because they've come up the same time and everything. So it is what it is. So that's what I'm saying. Like, so you're pretty much like my Smokey or what have you, man. So it's like Smokey Nagata or something like that. Yeah. So you got almost the hair there and everything. But but yeah, man, and it's pretty cool. And so I purposely gravitate towards more startup to my level companies, or the same range, because I feel like we can grow together for the next thing versus me trying to tap into Top Secret. And they're like, dude, we don't need what you got. We're cool. So
right, yeah, and you're the 1,000th person that's went that route. Versus,
I mean, because I even thought about randomly sending them like my Tesla hoses, where I got 20. I've only sold 30 out of the 20, and I've had them for. I was like, man, maybe if I just package them up and send them to there. But I'm like, dude, they got their sources, and I actually gave one shop there, and he just threw them in the corner. I'm like, cool, dude. I came back to the shop and seen them just sitting in the corner. I was like, all right, well, that tells me where, we're cool, man. So it is what it is.
Right. Yeah.
Well, actually,
we're not value those that value.
We're not really actually, and I try to do work with this guy, and it's just he's before it was comical, and I noticed as I progressed, the message return stopped, and I showed my wife. I was like, he's threatened by what I do.
Yeah.
Because no one he sees that I can do more than he can do. So I was like, that's why he's not messaging. I mean, he just straight up leave me on red and everything. And cool, man. You know what I mean? It is what it is.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've been through it too.
Yeah.
But you know what? We just keep shining, keep progressing.
Yeah, no doubt. And that's what I'm saying. Like, versus going online and trying to figure out why this guy doesn't like me. I'm like, I got a guy here that likes me. Like, let's work together. Like, we you know what I mean? That's the thing. And then, my ending, point, and I'll let you. My ending point on all this stuff, man, is like, work on a relationship. Like, for guys out there, man, work on relationships you already have, and the ones that are like the ones that are those people who DMing you, within reason, because some people waste time too, but answer some of those messages and everything and see what they want and everything. People who want to work with you versus trying to get into LZ circle or trying to get into Samet circle. I mean, I'm naming this because you guys watch on YouTube and you know these guys, because everybody wants to be down for the cause and everything. Not saying these are bad guys, but you don't see the real. Even with those guys, you don't see the really behind the scenes of how hard it is to do what they do. Within respect to everybody's not on the same level, but foster those relationships for the guys you already have, versus trying to. That's my thing. Starting up his portion is Nismo GTR, so he's living his life over there, man. My shop owner, my landowner. Starts.
Oh yeah.
He just bought a brand new.
You used to have a Ferrari, right?
Yeah, he got rid of that for the Nismo R35, and actually traded that in, and had to pay money for that 35 Nismo he got.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's like, holy shit, man. And then he got a Porsche something. It's like, yeah, man. But it's like cool, man. I see it, and he sees me. I respect the grind. He's old. He's like 60 something, man. 66, 67. So like he's done. Yeah. He's put in his time, and now he's reaping the benefits, man.
And there you go. And I think that's a perfect ending note. Guess what? I guarantee he ain't got no social media.
No, 100% don't.
So exactly. So at the end of the day, my leaving message is do it for the fam, not for the gram.
Yeah.
Be yourself, man, and enjoy what you enjoy. If people don't like it, that's okay. That's why they make different types of cars and food and everything else, but just be true to you.
Be true to you, man.
And that's what I'm gonna continue to do, man.
Yeah.
Continue to be true to me. That's it.
And be on that though. One thing, I mean, just because I wanted to say it before, man. Like, be comfortable.
Yeah.
Like, be comfortable being alone and be comfortable not being in the cliques. Because like I go to the track and it for me is a powerful thing because I go to the track like the other day. I just had me and my guy Anthony, and I was like, watch this, man.
Yeah.
I was like, dude. I told him, I was like, all right, this is what we're gonna experience. And he's looking at me like, how the fuck do you know? I'm like, I'm gonna tell you how the day is gonna go because they're simple-minded people. There's a group of Americans there. They don't say nothing to me. I don't say nothing to them. There's a group of Japanese guys there. I don't say nothing. They don't say nothing to me. Don't say nothing to them. There's the vet guys that I've been here for 15 plus years with. They don't say. I'm like, dude. Each one of these groups, the ones in the middle, they don't know if they can talk to me or not. And then they see I parked down there. The Americans, they have their other buddies who I've already told to screw off. So they don't know me, but they already don't want to. I'm like, all right, cool. I don't want to talk to you either. Then the vets, they're down there and they think they think I'm like shunning them because I got a shop and I've progressed. It's like, dude, it's just literally me and you here with a bunch of people. Like, he didn't get it. He was like, dude, you weren't lying. I'm like, dude, I'm telling you how it is, dude. Like, it's just, instead of like, being a man and coming up to you and talking to you, they just want to, and a couple guys did come up to me, and then the other guys who didn't say nothing to me the whole time, they're like, oh, he actually talks. I'm like, yeah, because the dude came up to me like a normal human being and like, hey man, what's up? But I'm not gonna. You're
gonna reciprocate.
I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna go into your tent and sit in Indian style and say, hey man, how's it going? Like, that's not. That's
right. That's not even what you're there for.
I'm not there for that. I'm there to test my car. Yeah. And if you want to sit over there and snicker and giggle or whatever, man, it's like they could have not been saying anything about me, but I'm just saying the energy is there. And so, guys, in a nutshell, man, just be comfortable going places and being not. Some people can't handle not being in a group or not being. I'm like, I actually like it. I like it, dude.
I like
it, dude.
I
know it's you.
You catch me solo, dolo, or with my family.
Yeah, it's you, bro. Rachel, the girls, and Nismo, the Doug, and in the truck.
That's it.
And it's like so many people. They have to be around a horde of people. They got to go pee together. They got to go. They got to. And then you see like and I pull out my camera to record. Then it's like I don't even care about it. No, I'm so turned off by it. Like everybody out there is just like this. It's like now it's like that. And then they want to get this and they want to. It's like, dude, this is nah. I can't.
Yeah, but you know what, man? When you there, don't let nobody steal your glory.
Oh no,
man.
no,
kill them.
No,
kill them with,
I do, man.
With
Dude, it's this.
With your shine.
You go on the track, man, and it's just like the exhaust notes and all that. And you come back and park, and it's like,
dude.
And then they hoard around the car, and it's like, bro, I like it because I know what they're thinking. Like I say again, the car didn't work that day. It worked partially into the boost cutout, and then like I know for a fact it was a handful of guys there that made their night. My car didn't work that night, and then the next day I slapped him with the video at Curie and I. Fucking it works now.
Hey, that place looked really fun.
Oh, dude,
Where
we'll
is
go
that?
20 minutes from my shop.
What?
So they got this. So they got the Gymkhana course. They got a route that, and actually, what you can't see on the video is it's very undulated. It's not flat. It's very and then
off camera.
There's a rally track, a full course rally track, and then a dirt bike course all in one complex. So that's where I ride the dirt bikes. That's all. Yeah. That's all theirs.
I know you got a dirt bike for me too.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. For sure, man. I got that.
Man. We're gonna have a blast.
So the thing is, we can if we go there early enough, we can ride dirt bikes, do Gymkhana grip, and go to the rally course all in the same day. It's all right. It's all in the same. It's all in the same. They touch each other. Yeah, it's all in the same thing. So, but then it's funny, man. Goddamn, man. We won't talk too much, man.
Yeah, we always do this.
So I go there, right, and I was testing the car, and I was like, "Hey, when's the next Gymkhana event?" And he was like, "Oh, you drifter." I was like, "Nah, dude, time attack too." And then he kind of like laughed it off, and I'm like, last time I came there, I had the S2000, had the S2000, but the cam sensor went out. Then I end up bringing up the Subaru, and I drifted around and everything. Yeah. So he, in his mind, he thinks I'm a drifter because I came here for the drift. I'm like, nah, dude. So like the next event, it's like October. So I'm gonna have to. I'm going to the event, whatever, but I'll be able to show this guy because I was like, do you drift? He said, oh, time attack only. I'm like, typical Japanese man where you won't even try. You just in your mind.
Right.
And then I'm like, the way you're claiming it, I'm like, you're not even where your record's at. Like the way he was talking about it, like
Right,
time attack only, shocker percent, 100%. I'm like, cool, dude. Well, I'm gonna come. I'm gonna go into a drift event and put a faster time than you. I'm gonna bring one of my real cars this time, put a faster time than you, and then like, well, I'm a drifter though. So how's that happen? It's like, dude, like
Right.
so he, in
Seat time.
his mind, he has it made up that I'm only a drifter. I'm like, nah.
Right, like you can only be a specialist at one thing. Yeah, I had a guy. I had a guy. Somebody, you know how it is when people post up a thing and they'll be like, what shop you recommend for this rebuild or blah blah blah. And then, guy posted my shop, and so one of the guys was like, he clicked on it. He was like, oh, I see that you got, like, this wasn't even the guy that was requesting the work. But this guy was like, oh, I see you got Mitsubishis and Toyotas at your shop. And I was like, yeah, I don't just build rotaries. I build all JDMs. And he was like, well, to me, I don't think that you can be you could be proficient enough at rotaries and still work on. I was like, okay, I tell you what, go ahead and post your car for every one car you post. I'll post 5 that I built. And then we'll see who's proficient or not. He didn't post one damn car, didn't respond or that. And I wasn't trying to big doll him, but what I was basically saying is, dude, for your one rotary that you built, I've already built 5 of those, not even including all the other chassis I built. So in my mind, it's like you don't have to be just a rotary special. You don't have to specialize in just building rotaries to be proficient at building rotaries. You can, because as well as I do, it all overlaps. If you can build an RB very well, you can build a 2J very well. You just got to learn where their weak points are. It's not that big of a difference. And to me, it just kills me. Like, and the same thing goes like you're saying with the time attack. Dude, like the really good drivers I know, they can do it all. Like, you remember when we were at AMP and I was introduced you to my friend Sammy, the old D1 GP guy. I mean, he's probably one of the best time attack guys I know, but he's been drifting just as long. You know what I'm saying? So dude, that's a silly philosophy to me.
The whole thing is within Japan. Like that actually is the reason why I don't have Japanese customers, because they don't trust that I know what I'm doing, because they figured you got to be all RB, or you got to be all 2J, or you got to be all 4AG. And it's like, nah, dude, this is in theory. They do the same things. They air sparks, the same thing. They do the same thing. It's just they sound different.
Or cycle combustion.
They sound different. But I'm like, dude, it's the same process. Like you don't pull the pistons out of the bottom. You know what I mean? It's like, it's like you can in some applications, but in RB26 you can't until you take out the squirters. Then why would you pull the pistons out the bottom? Like, you don't put them in through the bottom. You put them in through the top with the head on. You can't put the head on until you put the pistons in. It's like, it's the same thing. And then the rotary is, it has this thing, like where guys try to take the thermal pellet and smash it into the one that's already in there. It's stuff that I just read enough and seen that people, like, they don't know that's in there. They got to extract the old pellet, and they try to jam that, and then they don't have you can't, you've seen it, what I'm talking about. And spring and all that stuff.
Then they'd have, and you can simply just replace that and do a solid piece. And because a lot of guys, when they try to swap that out like that and rig it up, they end up not getting the oil temps up, because that pellet is designed to slide once the operating temp is reached. Which you're killing the lifeline of your rotary by not having that design, that pellet in there properly.
Yeah, man. So those little stuff right there, and like most people, like, you talk about that, then talk about the harmonics of the RB26. Where, like I said, that's one thing I like, and that's one thing I don't. People praise things. I'm like, bro, everything out there has some. I don't. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, man. That's not a flawless engine out there. Like,
I've never worked on one that's flawless. There's some that are close. But some are better than others. We'll just put it that
some
way.
are better than others, but it's like for them, as much as I know the faults of the RB26 and I fixed them, it's like literally 2 little things for the old old gen. The
crank neck.
The crank collar, and the goddamn little 10-cent dropping piece that controls the oil flow in the head, which means you don't need the whole head drain thing like everybody was doing back in the day. It's a cool, if you're running it up there, then it's a nice security thing, but it's not required now, because you got the little thing that's slowing the oil down from filling the galleys into the head, which was a problem for sure with the older ones and everything.
Right.
It was just too big. They designed it too big. Well, take that back. For normal driving, it was just fine, but for us running it up there at 8,000 RPMs, that shit's going like this, and the oil is like, I can't cavitate. I can't. Well, it's cavitating because it can't go back down quick enough, and you're like pushing that shit up there through the head. It ain't meant for that. It's like too much oil. Too much oil is bad, believe it or not. It's choking the damn engine out. But yeah, man, it's
your fucking catch can full.
Yeah,
got a quart of oil
I had one of those before in our SR, man. No shit, really was a catch can. I had to pour the oil back into the engine to drive home. That was fun. But that was actually my last time driving to an event too. That was from Maze.
Oh, wow.
I drove from Masawa to Maze, which is all the way down on the east coast of Japan. So all the way out there. But yeah, man.
Yeah, Maze circuit.
Yeah, it's a good circuit, man. But yeah, man, like definitely once you things get back to normal, I'll be open here. Then I'll got to get the 33 ready to get that up and sent over, which will be like that'll be pretty much pro-am spec. I'll get the turbo, and again, I'll keep it simple, dude. Like I said, I think that just keeping it simple with that. I'm literally gonna do it with that bolt-on turbo option that you offer for the 25. Like that.
Oh yeah, we'll make 500 all day.
I'm like, bro, and then it'll pop the hood like, well, where's this fab and where's this C and where's the it's my shit and his shit together.
That's it.
It's like, you know what I mean? It's like, you know what I mean? It's like it's pretty damn cool, man. And it's like that's one of those things where like, nah, you don't need all that stuff. I'm not saying I'm not saying that you can take a 400 horsepower car and then line up at FD, because that's you just can't.
There's levels. Yeah.
But I don't need a FD car to do these pro-am events, and that's what I think a lot of guys are doing. And I'm like, the judges will see like, well, you just got beat by a 400 horsepower car, dude. 400, 500 horsepower car. You should go back and recalibrate, skill up, and then you could really put that 900 horsepower to use and everything. So, but hey, man, that's my theory. That's my theory. Not everybody else.
No, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Simple is best,
Yeah.
man. Simple is best, because if we need to fix something, and if you got it to a simplistic setup that we can have spare parts to, we'll be back in the game.
Yeah.
So
too easy, man. But on that, man, I'll let you get out of here, man. And not let you go. I don't let people say that shit. Like I'm letting you go somewhere. And let you do nothing.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you.
That's just a figure of speech. People like, no, you ain't let me do nothing. But it's like, but thanks for letting me have you on the podcast. Let's say that, man.
Oh yeah, my pleasure. Thank you for having me. Sincerely,
definitely value your time. I know, again, you got a bunch of stuff you could be doing and everything, so I'm always grateful. And then, like I say, just capping off, man. There's a section, I just want to make clear. I wasn't saying like I was saying some of the guests I had on, and it was just, it wasn't that I didn't appreciate their time. It's just that it didn't vibe, because I was trying to go through a certain thing and do certain things, and at the time trying to get higher. And now it's just like naturally, these numbers, if it could take me another year or two to get to 200, and if it does, whatever, but I will know that those numbers will be more quality over quantity, because I'm not chasing 500,000 episodes. That's whatever, because you're gonna have 500,000 episodes and they don't do nothing because you're just rushing it. It's not genuine. It doesn't mean anything. So that's why, for guys who was messaging me where the podcast at, I'm just not rushing them like that. If they happen, they happen. Once, twice, 3 times a month. But it is what it is, man.
No, that makes sense, man. And at the end of the day, you got to try those things before you know what works and what doesn't. So
yeah, and unfortunately, I was like, it didn't yield the numbers I thought it would yield, because again, I figure some guys are certain ways, and actually it's about 3 guys that I've done podcasts with that I don't even talk to anymore. Like there was some situation, but I'm not going to delete the podcast. I'm not going to just stay up.
Yeah,
so I'm not.
It's part of the history.
Petty. So it's just like
people
don't, people think they know what you're about, and then when you start talking and let them know, hey, this was what I'm about. I thought you were a certain way, and I come to find out you're not. So I don't hate you, but there's just nothing to talk about. I'm not going to delete the podcast, but it's just so maybe they still watch it, but it's just everybody ain't made to be friends, man, and that's one thing I'm fine with, and I don't feel like a bad person because I'm not this guy's friend.
No, not at all, man. That's why we on to new episodes.
Yep,
baby.
yep. More new friends up there. There's somebody that was born today that if you live long enough, we'll run into him. That's crazy to think, dude. That's crazy to think.
Wild.
That's crazy as wild as hell to think that somebody being born today, right today, if we have blessed to live a longer life, that they'll come down shop to get some parts or some shit. And we know that because there's people who were born in the time frame that we got in the cars. And now they're our customers.
We used to be the young guys, we could go to the teenagers going to these shops trying to get some spare parts and soak up some knowledge.
Yeah, there's literally 21-year-olds that come to my shop and like, dude, like you were literally born the same year I got in the car.
Right.
Like,
now,
crazy, dude.
That's wild.
Another 5 years.
Now you're senpai.
Yeah, another 5 years, I literally will be guys that. About another 5 years, there'll literally be guys that were straight up born, and I was, now I'm running the shop and doing whatever, and yeah, man, it's what it is, man. But cool, man. Again, thanks for the time and everything. Again, guys, there, be sure to check out the British Moto, Alan Newsome, Facebook, British Moto on all the media outlets that he puts it on, and Toge Techniques and everything. Mainly Instagram and Facebook, and then of course TogeTechniques.com. And then British Moto International now, or
BridgeMoto.com.
This is BridgeMoto.com. Okay, so BridgeMoto.com, and then of course that's down in the description. You just click on it and all that good stuff. So it saves you time for typing on your phone because you're always typing it for your cat videos and stuff like that. You got to save your energy for those searches and everything, man. So I'm just fucking with y'all, man. But cool, this is gonna be Don signing up from Masao, Japan, and we got my guy Alan signing up from Talking Rock, Georgia, and getting everything. So see you guys. See you guys later. Peace.